now for my grand premiere. Are you ready for this, Kayla?
Oh, right.
Because we gotta start off it. Because it'd be a shame if we started this episode without a song. And I think you know what you mean.
Uh-huh.
So, Kayla, lace your heart with mine. Let your sleeping soul take flight. Take me through the night. Sing with me, Kayla. Down by the river. Down by the river. Okay, yeah, I won't go on further. That's gonna be terrible. I can't sing for shit. But anyways, that's the start of the episode. Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome back to this lovely knee-slapping podcast, at least podcast. We still, I guess, today it's not so much the K-pop
It's not
podcast.
a K-pop podcast today.
It is.
It's becoming increasingly less of that, but you know, that's how life is sometimes.
You know, but honestly, it's an evolution for us. It's a next phase of this hobby journey that we're going on, you know, spacing out these episodes a little bit more because, you know, we're adults and, you know, well, we're legally adults. Mentally, we're probably the equivalency of college kids still, if we're lucky. I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm 18 still, and then I remember I'm now officially 10 years after that. Yeah, birthday episode. Woo, woo, woo. And I'm here with Kayla.
Hello.
Because she is perfect. She's a perfect person for the topic we're going to talk about today.
Yes.
And she greatly loves the topic.
I definitely feel most qualified of the people who do the podcast to talk about it, but that's not saying a lot. But
yeah, life's been chaotic, but you know what? It's fine. We're just winging it right now.
Vibing.
We're having fun. You know what's the best thing that gets you through life is being kind of a geek, being into nerd shit. You know. Is what I've learned, Kayla. Would you agree?
Definitely.
And this game what's the term? Exponifies? What's the term? There's a word for it. It is the personification of that. Let's go with that. We'll go with that. for lack of knowing words better.
We're doing a great job with that. A great job with the episode today.
You know, I do this for fun. I am not a professional, clearly. Thank God we don't make money off this shit.
I would be putting in far more effort into the podcast if it were something we had to make money off of.
God, or if it was like, this is how we will need to pay our bills, and I'm like,
I would maybe put in a little bit more effort into being better at podcasting, but you know, sometimes we're just here, and that's enough.
You know, with our not completely jackass audio recording situations, not too bad, but I feel like
I feel like the audio is like the least bad problem with the podcast. Probably, I feel like we got that like pretty okay.
Oh wait, did we make the announcement that we're gonna do the?
No, I didn't. This is gonna be coming out very long after.
Okay.
We've already started doing it, but we are going down to bi-weekly podcasting, everybody, in case no one knew that or didn't know by the schedule going to bi-weekly podcasting, but it's just because life is much more hectic for everybody currently.
Yeah.
And also, we don't have a lot to talk about anymore K-pop related, so
I'm surprised that we got through a lot of the major topics we wanted to get through. I mean, we're gonna still do our end of the year shit. Might not be all 4 weeks of the year, but we'll still do end of the year shit. I'll probably still do a touch in with K-pop, K-hip-hop, R&B. You'll probably you guys will probably cover another show, but I think the rest of the time
survival shows still,
and we'll probably also talk about some other interests we have. This actually being one of those interests.
Exactly.
Because the world of video games, you see, in particular, one video game took a good chunk of steam by storm, I would say.
Oh, definitely.
For the type it is. We are talking about the one, the only IP that Larian Studios is going to work on at this point in time. Or has worked on it, is not going back to it, because I guess...
Nope, they did once and will never do it again,
Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
That may just be one of the highest crowning achievements in CRPG history. Who knows?
Probably
holy cow.
At this point, yeah.
Probably.
It's insane, yeah.
It is wild. This game is fucking wild.
It's insane. Like, when the game came out, I was like, maybe I'll play it. I don't really know. And then one of my friends asked me if I wanted to do like a multiplayer thing, and I'm like, sure, that sounds really fun. I'll do that. And then we started playing the game, and I immediately got to the point where like, we're not playing this fast enough for me, so I'm gonna play it on my own as well.
It's like, I'm gonna do my own walkthrough.
And then it became my entire life for probably about like 3.5 months straight. It was literally all I could think about. It was like, I would play Baldur's Gate 3, go to work, spend all of work thinking about Baldur's Gate 3, and then come home and play more Baldur's Gate 3. It was like my whole life for quite a while.
Oh, girl, same. It was so bad. So I guess we could start off with how the fuck we heard about this, because like I've heard about like Divinity and Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2 beforehand. Never got around to playing them at the time. Still haven't. I would like to at some point. I'm not going to deny it makes me curious, but that's Larian's other previous games.
I do want to play it eventually.
Yeah, and CRPGs, which C means, I guess, computer, technically, but at this point, it might as well just be in console, too, or just current RPG, or whatever.
It's like, it's really, like, I feel like that CRPG as, like, a gaming term is, like, a really bad, it's like the actual acronym is really, like, a bad descriptor of what the game is.
Well, the thing is, a lot of them used to be computer-based, to be fair. Yeah. Like, in the earlier days, these type of RPG, Western fantasy-esque, or sci-fi RPG games used to be more computer-based. So, like, yeah, but now, of course, that's brought into, like, not just computers, but also consoles as well.
Right.
So it's a little bit different there. But I know Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, back in the day, were very, very well liked, Western-based RPGs. Back in the day. Of course, I feel like most people, if they think of an RPG, it's usually like in the context of Japan.
Right, because it's like, you think RPG, it's like Persona
But hence, that's why they call them JRPGs.
Like, right.
Because they're the way Japan does RPGs too is different as well, you know.
Definitely.
But I mean, the big thing.
I love JRPGs, but this is definitely not one of those.
No, it is definitely not. It is. I guess for those people who aren't super well aware, this game kind of took over the gaming world by storm last year, I would say.
It did. It really did.
It's fair if you weren't, because I guess most people were complaining about, why didn't Spider-Man 3 1? And I'm like, listen, I had fun playing Spider-Man 3,
it's like
but listen, I cannot deny, you cannot look at me in the face if you play both these games and tell me Spider-Man 3 was the better option.
Yeah, it's like...
Truly, unless you just prefer the gameplay more. But like...
It was not even a contest, honestly. Like,
it wasn't even a fucking...
blew every game. And like last year was so huge in gaming too. Like Tears of the Kingdom came out last year, and like Starfield, it was like insane lineup of games last year. And Baldur's Gate still was easily the best out of all of those, and I feel like it wasn't even that close.
It's not even a joke, man. They worked on this game for like 6 years, probably due to COVID, of course, delaying things. It might have been out sooner. It had COVID.
Right, because it had been in early access for
at least 3, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, because I found a dude who covered a bunch of CRPG games, and like he did a lot of reviews in the early access stages of Baldur's Gate 3 too as well. So he was prepped and ready to go when this thing dropped and became popular. I was like, good for you, dude. I think it's called on YouTube Mortismal Gaming. Yeah, he does a wide variety of games. He doesn't just talk Baldur's Gate though. He talks a lot of different games. So like he's a good source to check out some other stuff too. So I recommend his channel. He keeps it pretty like structural to like how I like this game, blah 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 blah. It doesn't, go off on stupid tangents, but anyways. I know for a lot of people might not realize this is actually connected to D&D, this game, which, Kayla, you have more expertise on. I do not. I never played D&D.
I do have a lot of D&D background. I don't play it, like, as much as some people, but I've played multiple different, like, campaigns with different DMs. I don't DM myself, but I have a decent enough knowledge of how like 5e D&D works and how the character creation goes. I've done plenty of character creation before. And I have like general knowledge of the lore. The lore of it is like not one of my strong points, but I know like enough about how the world and things surround it work by just playing all the different campaigns that I have.
Gotcha. So, like, of the lore, because I didn't have any of this background prior to playing this game, like, what did you know story-wise, then? Of, like, did you know any particular story?
Not particularly. I knew of the city of Baldur's Gate, because actually, so one of the first D&D campaigns I did was Descent into Avernus, and Descent into Avernus is actually, like, lore-wise, the prequel to Baldur's Gate 3. Like, everything that happened, it's like, it's a module, so it's like a book written for someone to not make up their own story, but to take it and play it with a party of people. So everything in there, is the actual, like, canon prequel to Baldur's Gate 3. It was a very short-lived campaign, so I think we played about 2 sessions of it and did not get very far at all, so I didn't get any of the lore out of it, other than the fact that I was aware Baldur's Gate was a city. So that was about it for me on that one.
Yeah, but you didn't know about any of the other previous cities mentioned in the universe, or any of the other previous like
I
D&D
know
type games out there?
The Sword Coast as like a general concept, and I knew I know more of like the Nine Hells and Avernus type stuff. Like I was aware of it, but I didn't know about any of it like super in depth or anything like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I knew basically pretty much nothing. I mean, you know, like, if I was to be honest, I'm gonna say it. Oh, Stranger Things introduced me to the idea of D&D. I might have heard whispers of it prior, but
I
actually
feel like
seen,
that's for a lot of people are probably that way.
Yeah, I mean, it might have been probably one of the easiest visual interpretations of it. Not that it goes really that deep and far into D&D. It's more so like a plot point of, okay, the boys play the game together. They're all buddies playing the game. Like,
and I'm gonna be honest, I feel like in a lot of media, other than the D&D movie, I feel like there is like kind of like not a super accurate representation of D&D and how it normally goes when you actually play it for real. Not that that's like too terrible or anything, but I feel like sometimes it's just not very accurate, I guess.
I mean, that's fair, but yeah. But I mean, at this point, it's such a weird situation too, looking into the ownership IP rights of D&D as well.
Oh yeah,
because you're aware about the whole thing where it used to be owned by another company, and then at some point
that's a whole disaster
that broke into Wizards of the Coast, and then at some point there was another company that still kind of, that other previous company was then restarted up again, and then apparently tried to have its own rights to it or not.
It's a whole mess.
And now Hasbro owns Wizards of the Coast, and then I guess they decided recently to lay off a bunch of people, including people who did work with Larian to make Baldur's Gate 3. So, I'm just gonna put that out there. Maybe a good part of the reason why they're not doing any more Baldur's Gate games, Larian Studios. If you lose your people you worked with to make it a direct contact to the main IP holder, I'm just saying, you probably would be a little bit peeved.
Right.
A little bit peeved. If you lost, allegedly, all of them. I think that was the claim, was that all of them allegedly were lost. But yeah. No. And also it's probably IP rights too, to be fair.
Oh, yeah.
I just thought about that too. It's like, you don't get a cut of that, they're gonna want a better cut, so...
Oh, definitely,
Yeah. So yeah, this is the only Baldur's Gate game, and probably the only D&D game that Larian's gonna do, guys.
Probably.
So, that's it.
This is it. Honestly, it is a very complete game. One of the biggest sources of controversy of the game when it came out was that this is setting too high of a standard for gaming. It was it was the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. It was like game developers just like, oh my god, you can't expect every game to be like this. And I'm like, well, maybe put effort and time into your game. They've been developing this game for years, clearly didn't rush it out. Put a lot of like love into the game.
Yeah.
It's very, very clear to see. And it's just like, well, maybe like don't be fucking stupid.
Yeah. God, I mean, there's a lot of, and I feel like the criticism, I would say, would be more applicable to larger companies. Because a smaller indie studio where it's like 2 freaking people, then
and like that's not what people
I would not expect that from that.
But we're talking
people.
Like AAA games.
Yeah, we're talking AAA. Yeah. AAA.
It's like, be for real right now.
It's like, come on. It's to me, it's laziness.
Yeah.
A lot of it, and I think a lot of it too is, again, the conflict of the creative side of making video games / the coding / maybe because of the frequent firing and hiring of people, you'll lose people who know how to code efficiently to make these games and movements and textures and stuff. And then you have to deal with the business side of things where, you know, they need to make the money because, well, yeah, that makes sense. Ultimately, like, you gotta make the money. So it's like the constant conflict of that just keeps getting worse and worse each year, it seems like, unfortunately. But you know, such as such. But
it's real stupid, but I feel like if this is the only Baldur's Gate game we get, like, I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm actually kind of happy from the developer saying that, like, we created this to be one game with a complete story because we wanted it to feel complete. We didn't intend to have any sort of extra D&D or any type of sequel to be needed for that, and I kind of do like that they have, like, stuck to their word on that. Because a lot of the times when, like, franchises like this get so big, they start trying to, like, monetize them as much as possible, and then it just gets worse and worse the longer things go on. So I do actually appreciate that.
And, like, really, I know a lot of people were clamoring for, like, a DLC and blah, blah, blah. But, like, also, I really thought about it. I was kind of like, how the fuck do you do DLC to this game? We'll get into it. But, like, when you really sit and think about it, it's kind of like, how the fuck would you do that? You would have to, for that to work, you would have had to actually plan that type of DLC in advance.
Right.
Like, honestly, you would have had to plan it alongside of the main base
It's something that's very hard, especially given how that it ends to, like, just, you can't
how it
just,
could
like,
end. It's really more so how it could end, because there's several different options for how the game could end, depending on your choices, which, choice is actually important in this game.
Very important.
That's a fun part of this game.
That's the other thing that's insane about this game is, firstly, I feel like the chances you have a completely different experience playing this game than anybody else is so high. It's like the amount of choices that you can make and the different ways things can play out. Like, there's like, it's almost impossible for you to have the exact same gaming experience as somebody else playing.
And even then, it feels like the game itself sometimes tries to lead you into, even if you try to start up another game, it leads you into different scenarios, slightly different scenarios each time, which I'm like, I kind of appreciate that, actually. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, it's like, so technically speaking, I haven't finished a complete playthrough, but I have completed, like, up until a significant chunk of Act 3, and, like, I've seen a lot of the ending options that could happen, so, like, I'm aware of how things go for the most part. But, like, I did start other playthroughs, too, just out of pure curiosity. And, there's, like, even within Act 1, there's so many different options that could happen, depending on what you choose to do. And how you choose to get the places, and how you choose to take care of problems. Well, problems / obstacles that you encounter. So, yeah.
And what is crazy to me, so I've played through one full playthrough. I have a multiplayer playthrough with 2 other friends who, I want to say we're probably like 7/8 of the way done.
Okay.
Because we're probably like I guess like 8/9. We're like 2/3 of the way done with Act 3, I would say. Like, we're pretty close to the end on it. And we've been playing that for like 8 months. Like, we've essentially been playing that campaign since the game came out. Like, it's been taking us a long time to get through that.
That is insane.
I also, having done that, highly do not recommend a multiplayer playthrough as your first playthrough of Baldur's Gate.
I was about to say,
it is not the way to.
I mean, if you're a YouTuber, it probably makes for great content. Not gonna lie.
Right, but it is just such a terrible way to.
Like, it might be like, if you want to do multiplayer, maybe you start off with just one other person, because that might be a little bit
definitely don't go for 3 or 4 people on a first go around. That's absolutely not the way I recommend you would experience this game.
Or if you were to do it, maybe you do it with people, say, with roommates if they're down for it. I mean,
because I do think, like, a really big part of Baldur's Gate 3 is also, like, the romance and, like, that whole aspect. I feel like that's a huge part of the game. It is so much harder on a multiplayer playthrough because you only get increased, like, approval with the people if you're the character in the cutscene. So you have to plan out who is making the decisions and who walks into every cutscene if you really want to, like, take advantage of that as well. It's and, like, you do have to think about it a lot.
Well, that's also the point, though, is, like, how do you know that prior unless you look up...
You wouldn't. You absolutely would not know that prior, yeah.
Exactly. It's not the easiest thing ever, but it's like, oh god. Actually, okay, I guess how do we want to branch off? Do we want to start off with, like, character creation, or do we want to get into, like,
I feel like we might as well start with character creation, because we might as well start with character creation, because
that's a game out of itself. Are you kidding me? It's like I felt like I was playing like that Barbie makeup superstar CD-ROM video game, except now with fantasy characters.
Yeah, it's like the first time I went to play this game, it was my multiplayer one, and we essentially only did character creation, and then the first little bit on the Mind Flayer ship, and I was well, that's been 4 hours. So
not Lloyd.
Here we are.
Spontaneous British accent, not to Lloyd.
Yeah.
It's probably not British at all. But no.
But yeah, so I can see how this could go really poorly if you have no background on D&D. Because it's very it's very overwhelming. And well, like, just apart from like the actual like physical character creation side, because that part is also like really good. There's a lot of details there. A lot of choices just physical appearance wise, but then you have to pick a class. Yeah. And picking a class and a race and knowing like feats and spells and all sorts of stuff and what goes together well is like really, really hard if you're just having all the information thrown at you at once.
That is true. And like there's also so many people, maybe not so many, but there are people who do like, there's like a guy that talks about D&D all the time, and he talks about different class combinations you could do with like 4 different characters and their different classes and stuff that you could do to succeed. Like, for example, class-wise, I think I've even modified my own other origin characters' classes slightly. Like, I made Astarion at certain points be, like, both, like, I kept his original thing, but also I multi-classed it so that he would also, that's a whole other thing, too. Yeah,
multi-classing is a whole other situation. Yeah. I multi-classed Astarion, too, because I saw one I thought really interesting multi-class, as a monk rogue that let him have like 4 actions in turn, and I was like, absolutely yes, this is what we're doing.
So what I ended up doing was going Gloomstalker Hunter for him, because his arrow damage was fucking baller when I did that. When I did it with like the crossbows, I was like, oh yes, I love this so much. This is killer. He was great with Destins with that. So like honestly, multi-classing certain characters works out well of the origin characters, I would say. Your own character, I think it depends on what you decide to do with origin characters you want to keep in your party.
I did a really horrible multi-class on my character I chose the absolute worst combination too. I started off as a paladin. And then immediately became an Oathbreaker paladin.
Oh, girl.
Immediately. Because, and I was so funny because I saw a video, like, right after it happened, and it was like, oh, if you want to speedrun being an Oathbreaker paladin, you pick this one, and then you go kill these tieflings and have Lizelle, in a cage. And I'm like, oh, this is literally exactly what I did when I came into this game. But then, because I normally play spellcasters in D&D, I really like doing it. I feel like I have a much better handle on spellcasting than I do like all of the separate actions that a lot of the physical attacking classes have. So I started multi-classing as a cleric, and then I realized like I'm like double dipping far too much with paladin and cleric that I'm not getting like the benefits of the multi-class here at all. Yeah. So I was gonna be like, oh, I'll go talk to Withers and I'll reclass as a cleric. But apparently, if you're an Oathbreaker paladin, you have to pay Withers like 1,000 gold.
Yeah, you do.
To reclaim your oath, and I just didn't want to do that out of spite. I was like, I'm not gonna reclaim my oath just to not be a paladin anymore.
Yeah. That's why I didn't, that's why I switched up from paladin a little bit. So what I did, because you told me how much annoying Gale was, and Gale was getting on my nerves. Sorry, Gale.
Yeah,
but you are entertaining sometimes, but he's still
sucks.
annoying. I never got the romancing of him. A lot of the girlies are down for romancing Gale.
I know.
And Astarion, let's be real.
There's like a full split between you're either a Gale person or you're an Astarion
I'm just gonna say
person.
it. Will deserves better because his romance is super sweet. Give Will a chance,
He's
guys.
Such a good. Will is just like such a good boy. Like he's so sweet.
He's just screwed over by circumstance because he decided to make a choice to pact with a devil, but he did it out of.
But he did it out of like a good, coming from like a good place, and it was like.
He was just like, this could actually give me OP powers, but also like to help people though. So like, I'll do that and deal with the consequences. And he does. He does deal with the consequences.
He does. I do think that his story outside of like romance is like one of the most interesting like character stories.
And people don't give him enough credit. Give Will some credit. Also, I hate to say, he's the one that comes off the most straight of the characters. Let's be real here.
He's a straight man for sure.
Like, I mean, he still tried to romance my dudes? Yes, but like, I'm sorry, I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. I don't buy it. He
does not. Yeah.
Like maybe if he's drunk enough, he dabbles a little bit, but like really, no, that dude's straight. That's the straightest dude of the whole crew. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. But like, anyways, but also they changed his ending, so like, well, we are going to talk about spoilers probably, but like, you could have him. he could go and join another character, whether you're romancing him or not, to another place so that character doesn't die in the end.
Right.
So that's, hey, which,
it's
if you think about it, for
he's
how
like
that...
He's just such a nice man. Like, everything about him, like, super nice guy.
Honestly, give Will romancing a chance even though you don't bang. Just do it.
Right.
Just do it.
His by far is the least spicy of all of the romances, but I do feel like he's a good romance option, and people just ignore him often because they think he's a little bit boring, which I do get.
Because his vibe is more classic fairy tale romance. His vibe is classic fairy tale romance.
Yeah.
Where
but I think
like,
he has a really good written character. He has a lot of good like story development in the game too. So
yeah. Oh, I forgot to talk about character origin. I will admit I have a problem of making a bunch of half-elf men. It's a combination of skinnier half-elf men. Sometimes elf men, but mainly because they have such nice... If you go to the third body type, or whatever is the big man body type, girl, they are such beefcakes. They're so... I don't want to say hot, because that sounds really fucking weird. And saying that, I admit I understand, like, VTubers more, and I don't want to fall into that. But, like, they are well-sculpted CGI figurines. Let's put it that way. They are so well-sculpted. It's like, Jesus... Not just the half-elves, too. The humans probably as well. But, like, the half-elves, I feel like, are, like, the most OP. And, like, they're my favorite ones to use, honestly, of race characters. Because they just have a lot of benefits. The benefits of human stuff, the benefits of elf stuff. They're just, like, really freaking effective.
That's fair. I feel like, what was my character? So my first character, I think, was just an elf. Like, what kind of elf?
Actually, you know what? You want to do that right now? If you want to rank races for use, we can actually give the people a good reason to be like, hey, do these guys. Not these guys' first playthrough.
So, I 100% do not recommend being, like, a dwarf or a halfling or, any of the really short ones, because your jump distance
Well, a gnome, you mean, yeah.
Yeah, a gnome. Your jump distance is affected, if you're a short character, and so sometimes you will need to get someone to throw you somewhere, like, over, a ledge or up, like, a cliff, because your character just physically cannot jump that far.
And honestly, I feel like of the short dudes, if you're gonna do any of them, you do the dwarf. If anything, you do the Dwagar dwarfs. Those guys are like, have some good stats on them. Looking into it. If you're gonna do a short dude, do a Dwagar dwarf. Actually, do any of the dark ones. Drow's pretty OP.
So I did Drow on my Dark Urge playthrough that only got through, like, some of Act 1, just because the racism you will face as a Drow in this game is kind of crazy.
But it's also partially because of the lowest sworn ones.
Yeah, no, it's
really because of that.
There is a reason why you're seeing it. Like, there is actually like full backstory into, like, the lore of the game and Drow as a race and why people behave that way, but it's just, like, that felt correct for if I was gonna do Dark Urge, so...
Yeah, that makes sense.
There is, like, a slightly evil, like, background to that.
If you do lowest sworn for Dark Urge, because then there's the other kind of Drows that are like, we're not actually lowest sworn, we're just trying to function.
We're just here,
We're just here trying to exist, but the lowest sworn ones are technically the evil ones. So. Right. But yeah. I mean, again, I love me the half elves. The best, you get the best of both worlds from the elf and the human side of things. Also, big thing, I remember Kayla, because I went to Kayla first when I was going to start to play, and you gave me, like, the tips and tricks. The big one was, like, get someone with night vision, or dark vision. Get dark vision, period. Which is, like, elf, half-elf, drow, definitely drow. Dwarf, I think, dwarf has it. Tiefling, I'm pretty sure.
That's what race was. I couldn't remember what my main character was. I was a tiefling. That's what it was.
Oh, it was a tiefling.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they look cool. I don't know if their stats were as useful as I wanted.
They're not. Like, I think when I made my my main playthrough character, I straight up pressed randomize until I got one that looked kind of a way that I liked, because I'd already done the full character creation thing once, and I'm like, I can't do this a second time now, so we're just gonna go with a character that looks kind of cool, in my opinion, so that's what I did for that.
I mean, it depends also. Certain races, I think, do better if you want to do certain classes, too. Like, for example, I feel like Githyanki and Half-Orcs are perfect if you want to go, like, fucking melee class. So if you want to do, like, either a barbarian or, like, a fighter, those two would be perfect for that, I think.
And also, it's like, if you're gonna be a druid, I feel like you should be part elf in some way. Like, that just makes a lot of sense for that.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, I think, if you're good, or anything magic-based, I feel like an elf would probably work good with that. I mean, yeah. Half-elves do have the human tactician stuff, so they can, like, if I'm not, versatile range of skills rather than one mastery. Yeah, they're kind of like, they kind of get, like, some of the better traits of all the, other ones. Mm-hmm. You also do drow half-elves, and those, of course, also get discriminated against, but they also do have, like, certain cantrips that work really well, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, cantrips, I still have a fun time trying to understand cantrips fully, but I think I screw them up a lot of the time.
If you think of them as they're, like, a level 0 spell slot, you just get to use them without using a spell slot. It's like, you can just use them whenever you want.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah, they never really go out.
They are like less powerful in a lot of ways because they are technically like level 0 and they don't have any type of like charges associated with them because of that. But I feel like thinking of them as like, because some like sources will refer to cantrips as like a level 0 spell, so that's essentially all they are.
Oh, actually, before I get on to actually, as for classes, maybe we should go into the classes. Just think about it.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of classes.
There's a lot of classes if I can pull it up, and then there's of course the subclasses within those classes.
Oh
which
yeah,
makes things even more complicated. My big recommendation, pro tip. I'm just gonna say it. I hate trickery cleric domain. Hence why ever since I first learned that you could change your origin character's multi-classes, I switched Shadowheart easily to a different cleric. I either do Light or Tempest. Both of those I think are Tempest may be the best one. Maybe my favorite one of the cleric classes. I think Light and Tempest though also frankly go with her story the best, depending which way you choose. Mm-hmm. Personally. I mean if you still are sick in the beginning, definitely, I say Tempest probably would be the most accurate one, because I think you could argue she's conflicted inside, and Tempest, I feel like, reflects that a lot.
Right,
a lot of time.
That makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Yeah, so that, honestly, Trickery, for some reason, does the stats on that suck ass for some reason. It makes sense, though, per her story, why they chose it for her.
Right.
Because that's all, we can get into that later on, story-wise, with her and other characters, but personally, my suggestion for cleric, you definitely want a healer and stuff like that. So like, if you could also I will say, pro tip, you want to make things interesting, make yourself a cleric of saloon.
Oh yeah,
it doesn't matter what cleric, just make yourself a cleric of saloon as like a base entry level, and you will have some fun cat fights with Shadowheart.
A lot of
you'll have some fun cat fights. Again, goes into we'll get into the story with that, but that's one recommendation. I gotta say, also, I playing around, if we're talking more about different classes, I find which one is it? The way of the open hand, I think, for the monk is so fucking OP by itself. It is so good. They can like literally punch, kick, and kick your ass out of here and knock you dead. It is crazy. Do not underestimate monk in this game. I will tell you that.
Monk is a really good class, just in general.
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard that it's stronger in the game than on the than in the current iteration of D&D.
Yeah, so that's the other thing, is there are some things that they did with these classes to make them better. Like, Ranger as a class sucks ass. Like, it's a terrible class to play in actual D&D, and even after it was reworked, it still is pretty bad. Like, if you want to be a Ranger, just be a fighter that does archery. Like, that's like a better version of a Ranger.
Or just multi-class it, like what I did with Astarion.
Because so many of the abilities they give you as a ranger in the game, like, don't have any practical usage most of the time when you're playing. Is I think the big thing. But they do like a lot of different things with this, like where where a lot of the ranger abilities, they kind of replace it with these sort of like other abilities that are like more useful, I guess. I can't explain it very well, but what they do to Ranger in Baldur's Gate 3 makes it a way more useful class than it normally is.
Yeah, and then another one I want to highlight too, Sorcerer. I freaking love Sorcerer.
I love being a Sorcerer.
What I like to do is multi-class a couple levels of Warlock, so then I can get Eldritch Blast. And girl, it is so OP.
Eldritch Blast is great.
Blast is great with a sorcerer.
Honestly just a great spell to have, Eldritch Blast.
Yeah, Sorcerer 2 is a really good class. I think it's stronger than Wizard. You don't get as many, whatchamacallit. What's the term?
Spell
you don't
slots?
get as many spots, yeah. But personally, my personal opinion, dude, screw Wild Magic, because I heard that shit gets complicated when you go higher up levels. But also go for Draconic Bloodline and Storm Sorcery, mainly because not only are the powers better on those, but also, the outfit is so much better looking.
Yeah.
They are showing, if you get a buff character, their arms look so swole in that outfit. They are gorgeous. They look gorgeous, the characters. The men, especially. The men. He's gorgeous. I tell you, gorgeous. I love that outfit.
Wild Magic Sorcerer is what I did on my Dark Urge character.
Yeah, because I heard that some spells spontaneously just show up and
it's such a fun class to play in D&D, because that's essentially what happens is, like, every time you cast a spell, you have to roll for a magic surge, a wild magic surge, and if you fail it, like, a random effect will happen. So I've been playing it, and then I think the first time a wild magic surge happened, it randomly enlarged or reduced every single person in combat. No. It was just, and that type of stuff, it's like, if you are, like, new to the game and don't like the combat element, I would not recommend doing it. But if you want to have a lot of fun while you're playing, definitely recommend Wild Magic Sorcerer.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's too bad, but I think it's more so you can't really control it as much.
Yeah.
If you like to have a little bit more control over things, I feel like I like Draconic personally. And on top of that, you can choose to have scales on your face if you want to, whether you're a dragon or not. But yeah, you don't have to have the scales if you want to, but I like the power that Draconic Bloodline gives, and Storm Sorcery is pretty good solid too, personally. And then I mix that with a little bit of Warlock, and then that just works out really well for me. I also just like to do, Barbarian for me is fun. Doing Berserker Barbarian for Karlach always is a grand old time for me. Although I hear that, I think it's whatever is the one that gives her the ability to have, like, more piercings on her face. I think it's Wildheart. That one I hear is pretty solid too, because it lets you can have the element of like of like an animal that then can, like, cause you to, like, generate an animal, like a tiger or like a bear or like whatever it is. That one I hear is pretty fun.
You mean wild shaping?
Yeah. Like, it allows you to do that as a barbarian.
Yeah, so yeah, when you're a barbarian, you, like, get to pick when you level it up, like, which animal you would like to, like, it's more like quality of an animal you would like to have, I guess, I don't know, it's a hard thing to explain, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. And then Paladin, I think, is also not too bad to start off with. That's what I started off with.
Paladin's a pretty easy class to play. It's pretty easy to understand, too, so Paladin's really good for when you get into the late game and there's, like, one big enemy that you need to, like, beat the shit out of. It's less good in, like, an AoE type of sense, or you need to take out multiple things at once. But if there's, like, one big bad guy you gotta smite the shit out of, like, you got it.
It's like you need to, like, smack his ass.
Yeah. Just divine smite him a few times.
Yeah, smack his ass all the way down the river.
Yep.
Just gotta keep... God. I love the music in this game too. Side tangent. Oh my god.
Music is so good.
So fucking good in this game. And I get the stupid song, like, they're not stupid, but, like, they get the song stuck in my head the whole time. Just like the you know, the whole time.
Right. It's
like the third one that comes up in Act 3. Oh my god.
The Act 3 music is really, really good. Oh
yeah, really freaking good. They're like, we're gonna say the best for last for y'all.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Here you go. Oh goodness. Anything else we need to talk about when it comes to character creation? Oh, also, you need a guardian. Or do you? The game forces you to have a guardian.
Yeah.
You have a choice.
So joke's on you. You gotta do character creation twice in a row.
Yeah, surprise! I remember seeing that the first time. I was like,
you just spent hours on this, so you gotta do it again immediately.
And at the end of the day, it doesn't even matter because, spoiler, they just transform into an ugly demon monster. An ugly octopus face monster. I'm just gonna call it. Let's be real here. The whatever you call
Simply
them.
Just turned into Cthulhu.
Yeah, Cthulhu are just basically ugly octopus tentacle face monsters, and I'm like, ugh, that's gross. Go away.
I know.
Oh, whatever. You can't though. They're part of the game.
Yep.
Too late. Anyway, speaking of which, origin characters. I guess we did talk a little bit about Will. Do we want to talk anything else more about Will?
Probably not.
Like in terms of his story.
I don't think so. I think that's like mostly everything that there's.
Well, there's the Minthara of it all. No, not not Minthara. Sorry, there's the what's her name?
What is her name?
The fuck is her name? Her patron.
Mizora.
Mizora. Sorry, Ron M name. Minthara we can talk about later, but Mizora. God, she's just
she's quite something.
She's something, all right. I also learned that you could apparently smash her. Oh yeah, by the way, your character can bang a lot of people in this game if you really want them to.
Yes.
There's a lot of options for
so my multiplayer playthrough, we got the Mizora sex scene. It's fucking weird. It's a weird as shit. It's so fucking weird.
Why? Is it just like they're not actually feeling each other? It's just
they like don't have sex. It's like she stands like from away and she just like casts like sensations. It's like super weird. And then she's got like the wing. It's like it's weird. It's definitely by far the weirdest one in the game.
So what? It's like an external spell thing that makes you just horny, I guess?
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird time.
I'm surprised she hasn't tried that shit on Will, poor guy.
Yeah, honestly.
Oh my god. I feel like she would. I mean, she is a devil after all, but like, yeah, she would. I feel like. God.
She would for sure.
Oh god. Anyways, let's get our annoying one out of the way. Let's get Gale.
Yeah,
Hello,
I don't
Gale of
He's
Waterdeep.
so annoying. He's so annoying.
I'm like, I mean, there has to be good sides to him, but I know you freaking hate him.
I don't like him. He's so annoying.
I mean, he has nice hair. I'll give him that. And
I don't even like his hair. I think his hair looks stupid.
Okay, his hair's stupid.
I'm just saying.
Fine.
I think his hair is
fine.
stupid.
The hair's stupid. But I mean, he does have the spoiler alert, the crazy bomb in his chest. The magical orb.
He's a living bomb, essentially.
He's basically like a living magical nuclear weapon.
Yep.
That he has to maintain.
And his whole storyline is essentially how he was like groomed by a goddess his entire life and has like immense amount of like self-worth issues relating to his relationship with the god. It's like, and it's very weird. It's I like it doesn't do anything for me. I mean, honestly.
If you try to romance him, it sounds like he talks about his ex all the time. It's like I don't want to.
It sucks. Yeah, that's why I think his romance is so bad because it's so tainted by like all of his trauma from his ex.
And I'm just saying, I haven't met her in person, but I've seen images of her. She's not all that good looking. I'm just being honest here. She is not. She looks like a plain Jane. Okay, she may be magical, but she looks like a plain Jane. It was not worth getting into bed with her. Girl.
I also say I'm also annoyed as hell because I never finished Gale's storyline because the game straight up didn't give me enough direction on what the hell I was supposed to be doing with it. Really? And so I got to the end of the game and I was just like, I just didn't finish his storyline. So at the end, Gale comes up to me and he's like, I think I'm gonna go become a god now. And I was like, don't do that. And he was like, I don't care what you have to say. I'm gonna do it anyway. And I'm like, well, fuck you then, buddy. Like, get out of here. Don't tell me I didn't warn you when this ends badly for you.
Yeah, it's like either that, he can become a god, or I guess just become like some teacher or something, a scholar or something like that.
I guess if you romance him, you stop that whole thing from happening, but...
I mean, at that point, like, I don't think I necessarily care if he becomes a god, assuming he doesn't.
Yeah, it's like, he was so annoying, and then he's like, his character is immediately so needy. He was like, I need you to give me magical items or I'm gonna die now.
Only 3 times, though, which I'm like, also confused because I'm like, why isn't this not continuing? Because in theory, it would continue, right?
Right.
I don't know. They make some choice. A lot of girls, though, are really into his character.
I know.
A lot of the girl fans of this game. I'm just like, really?
I know. It's real. It was shocking to me too, and I was like, I don't understand this. Like,
I'm like, we didn't give Will more attention because why? Because you can't smash Will. Oh no, the horror.
The Gale sex scene is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. Because I had sent it to you and Sammy before you had even started playing the game.
I was just like,
and I was like, I need you to watch this because I was cackling during
I was like, what the fuck is this? Okay, so one of the options when you first try to bang him, besides the other one's normal one, you imply go bang on a bed, cool. The other one is you bang in space, I guess.
In the astral plane, I think.
But you're like a projection of your body.
He like
and then he grows arms and other heads, and then you're and then you're connected at the hips, and then you're spinning in a fucking circle like a sphere. It's like, what the fuck is this?
It's the dumbest thing you've ever seen. It's
honestly though, I wouldn't be surprised if the people making this game had so much fun animating that because of how fucking stupid it was. They're like, someone told them make it as goddamn ridiculous as possible, and just go for it. And I'm like, yeah, because that is so fucking absurd. Ridiculous.
It's crazy, actually. Oh man,
it is ridiculous. Okay. I mean, next origin character. What do you think we need to chat next about?
Should we just get all the men out of the way to do a story?
Let's do them. Okay, let's do your favorite.
Yeah.
And probably arguably everyone else's favorite. That's at least a girl. If anyone, I don't know about dudes, but at least if you're a girl, you definitely fucking love Astarion.
Yes, I love him. I had never been this obsessed with like a fictional character in my life since probably high school. It was like I was in a bad place.
Wait, who were you obsessed with in high school?
And before that, it was freaking Draco Malfoy in Harry Potter. And I was like, you can see the direct line from Draco Malfoy to Astarion. Like, there is a direct one-way connection there.
Oh my god. So what you're saying is you would meet Tom Felton in real life again.
Yeah, I would love that, honestly. But
you would meet Tom Felton in real life.
I would meet him in real life.
Fair enough. I mean, he mainly banks off of Harry Potter at this point because, like, he ain't got much else going for him.
He doesn't.
Here. I hate to say it, the main trio at least got some stuff. Rupert Grint's doing things occasionally. You know, Emma Watson's, I guess, you know, doing speeches and whatnot. And then, if anything, Daniel Radcliffe's the one that's really pulling him and freaking Robert Pattinson, both of them. They're doing it. You could argue they're doing the same thing, doing like a bunch of indie roles and just pushing their limits.
Like weird shit.
And then,
like
and then Daniel Radcliffe's also doing an occasional musical here and there. So,
right.
I mean, honestly, just living his best life, I guess. But yeah, let's be real here. Tom Felton not doing too much besides you know Harry Potter adjacent related stuff, unfortunately. But for him, it's kind of like
as a character. Flawless. Well, not a flawless character. Very flawed character. But
the most evil aligned character in the game, probably
for sure. Yeah. But I feel like his entire storyline was just written so well.
Oh yeah,
it was, everything about it was so just so well written. It was
because
so good.
It goes into
so compelling,
and mainly goes into a lot of things. I mean, not just him though. Really, like honestly, if you think about it, like him and Shadowheart in different aspects, and maybe Karlach too. It's mainly different aspects of abuse, really.
Definitely. Because Astarion's whole thing is essentially like you're stuck in like a cycle of like abuse, and in his case, it's like essentially like sex work in a lot of ways.
And he's made to be immortal too.
Yeah.
But not just sex work though. He's getting people to feed. Well, he thought was to feed on to his master. But of course, we find things that reveal not necessarily the case for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Good chunk of them? Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if we want to, do we want to go all out and talk about spoilers for everything? Do you think it's fair?
Yeah, we might as well.
Yeah, we might as well.
We talk about characters
warning,
and stuff,
spoilers going forward. A lot of spoilers, because we basically just spoiled a bunch.
A lot of spoilers for Baldur's Gate.
I did actually finish his arc in Act 3, and oh my god. That, first of all, that fight against, what the fuck his name
hard.
is.
It's such a hard fight.
Because I didn't know that you basically have to go after him, or else they, like, zap everyone dead. So I had to restart that fight a couple times, number one. Number two, he sucks. You can tell he's an abusive
It's so funny vampire. That his character, Cazador as a character,
Cazador,
is so unintimidating looking as from like a
he looks like such a bitch baby.
He's like such a little bitch. I was just like, I was not expecting him to look like that.
But also, like, to be fair though, like the vampires, they give me regal Victorian vibes. So him looking like a pompous snot ass would make sense, honestly.
Right.
I mean, look at how Astarion's dressed. It's like, and he can't even see himself.
Like, he's like so unintimidating, but I do feel like him being that way does make a lot of sense for like story reasons and everything. But it was just such a shock to me when I first saw him for the first time, and I was like, this is the guy? Like, this is him?
No, yeah. It's like, because I think would you imagine him being, like, beefier almost and bigger?
Yeah, definitely.
But no, he's just a little whiny well, he's not complete whiny bitch baby. He has a lot of power.
He does.
And I guess the whole thing with Astarion is that he's trying to use them to essentially make himself super immortal, basically.
Well, he wants to become, like, the vampire ascendant instead of Cazador, because that is the only way that he knows, or he thinks he's gonna have, like, a free life, essentially. That's all he thinks he can do, in order to free himself from the situation. Because if he has that much power, that he can't get hurt anymore. And I feel like as deciding whether or not you want to, like, fully ascend him or not has, like, a lot of different, like, very interesting, like, character implications as well. Because it kind of, like, reflects, like, here's a person who is essentially, like, forced into this, like, very, like, cycle of violence, and whether or not they want to continue to, like, repeat the cycle or not, or if they are, like, they want to be able to break it free, it's not only for themselves, but for, like, all of the people who, like, come after them to, like, stop it from happening. And I feel like...
Yeah, that's the other option after that, you make him ascendant or not. Like, and that's, like, the other big option, is just like, oh, you gotta free all those other vampires now.
Yes,
and then you realize that some of them are related to the, the fucking hunter-gatherer people, the children of them.
Yes,
that they were going after him.
That are there, it's right.
And it's like, holy shit. And actually, running up to them afterwards, and it's kind of, because they find their way into the lair, of course. And it's like, oh, damn. Damn, do I feel bad. And I didn't connect this, but the names of, like, 4 of the children of these hunter, I forgot what they call them, the, Gunder? The guys, the names of those kids are actually all the way back in Act 1 in that abandoned village where the goblins are in. I kid you not. They hint to them as far back as that, because I realized a couple of them are siblings, and they show up in the end there, and I'm like, oh shit. They're the ones that are listed as the missing kids. Oh my god, that's where they used to live.
There's so much lore just hidden in the game. It's, like, insane. It's, like, every note you read, it's, like, you can pick up a random note off a body and get, like, so much, like, information out of it. It's, like, crazy the amount of, like, content that is in this game. It would be almost impossible to experience all of it.
I mean, there are people definitely finding a way to try to do so. And the best way to do it is probably through multiple playthroughs. It's kind of like, oh, I didn't explore this area that much. I should do that this time, you know?
Because even when I was doing my multiplayer playthrough, we missed a lot of stuff in Act 1 that I then went and got on my single player playthrough. Because it was just, like, to me, I was like, wow, like, I didn't even know half of this stuff was here.
I know, it is, like, crazy. And Astarion's stories, he's one of the better in stories, I think, of this game.
Yeah,
I think overall, depending which way you go. But I personally made him choose not to be ascended, because I heard he was more of a dick in that ending. I'm like, we're not gonna do that.
And so I've seen, because I was so in the Astarion hole, I saw a lot of commentary online about him and his storyline, and there is, like, a weird lack of, like, both media literacy and also people on the other end of that spectrum who purely, like, are like doing too much, I would say. Yeah. Because there's a lot of people who think that his ending, becoming a vampire ascendant, is, like, the good ending. And I was like, I don't understand how you see this, and you see that's the good ending in any capacity, but sure.
Like, it in certain aspects, sure, but ultimately, no.
Right.
Because, like, he just becomes more of a dick. He becomes exactly like Cazador.
Right, it'd be like he becomes the exact person who he hates, and literally everything about it is bad. Yeah. Like, it is a bad situation overall for him as a person. Yes, he has power, but he becomes awful and is perpetuating, like, a cycle of violence. But I think don't even get me started
on media literacy these days, with people not
because people are so blinded by the fact that ending for him is, like, more spicy. People love that, and it's like, there's nothing wrong.
Well, I will say, if you do choose to be ascended, I guess the sex scenes towards the end.
And it's like there's nothing wrong with wanting to experience different endings of a video game.
That's why people have multiple playthroughs of this game.
There's nothing wrong with that, but when you're out here saying that, like, no, this is how his character arc is meant to be, and this is the best iteration of it, it's just like, you've clearly missed the point that the entire game development team was trying to make here with his character.
Yeah, and also, like, let's be real here. If you do go the Ascended version, which I've seen mainly through other videos because I haven't played it myself, like, the way he treats, if you romance him, you know, the way he treats your character is, like, not good. Like, it's like you're subordinate.
You become like an object to him. It's like, and it's not a good ending
like,
for
if you go the other route, he treats you more like an equal. It's like, that's how it's supposed to be, damn it.
Exactly.
Like, that's the idea. That's him learning boundaries and healthy relationships, finally.
And I have read how a lot of the development around him as a character was meant to sort of put the player in a situation where you had to, like, really think about what you're doing in the video game. It's like, here's this very, like, attractive, sexy character, and they really wanted to force people to try to think, like, outside of just viewing him as, like, a sex object in a video game, and to really think about it. And I feel like that's very clearly seen in a lot of, like, his romance options too, where it's like, if you're picking just, like, the sexy options, like, that's gonna bite you in the ass at some points in time.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Because there is, like, one of his big major plot points is, like, to actually progress that correctly, like, you need to take a step back and, like, not just see him as, like, a sex object. And I also think that in terms of, like, what they did with his character is really, really well done.
No, yeah, that's why I do like his character, because it is complex. And, like, he also does a lot of messed up shit, let's be real.
He does. He's
evil.
He
doesn't approve of you freeing the, he doesn't approve of you freeing the Dwagar.
He's an evil guy until you meet him, and then you sort of help him change to see that things that can be different in life, so.
Yeah. I mean, of course, in the good ending, he still technically can't be on the sun anymore once you get rid of the Mind Flayer Tadpole. So, like, yeah, that sucks. But, like, he still can live. He just has
like,
to,
he can live a life. It's just that it's not fully exactly what he wanted, but it is far better, like, than the alternative option. That was there. So
yeah, and that's what I like about that character ending for him. But yeah, I think, unless you want to say anything more on the story.
No, I think that's probably it on him for now.
And then, honestly, I recommend multi-classing him if you're gonna play him. Keep it with, Thief. Keep the Thief character. I think the pickpocket option for him is really helpful, personally. And then, and then I personally love crossing him with the Gloomstalker Hunter, because he just does great arrow damage.
Right.
So, personally. And then you could choose, I think at some point you get to a certain point with, like, picking different other sub options where, like, I like to have him dual wielding like dual wielding crossbows, so, like, anything where he does better with dual wielding with, like, the hand crossbows, I think he does great with that personally, but that's just my opinion in terms of playing him, because also he's a playable character if you choose to keep him in your party. And then Gale, I guess we'll talk about it too. Will and Gale, you're more magical beings too in the group. You kind of have to have one of them in your team.
You do. Like, it's real hard to not have a Shadowheart is also a spellcaster.
But she's more the healing backup support.
Yeah, you do have to have, like, one of him or Gale for healing purposes, or you're gonna be in a bad spot, or your character has to be healing.
Unless you make your custom character, like, a sorcerer or something like that. Yeah, it's like,
someone in your party has to be able to heal, or, like, you're gonna be in a bad spot.
I mean, speaking of which, we can get into healing. Talk about healing trauma also, Shadowheart. Oh my gosh. Her story was probably my favorite, personally.
She was really interesting.
In my opinion. Sure, hers was really...
I like her the best out of the female characters, I would say.
Yeah, she is a sassy little
She's like, I know she was really popular among a lot of the men playing this game because they wanted an emo
not just
girlfriend.
Men, I think a lot of people just like to romance her in general.
Yeah.
But the dudes especially, the dudes.
Because I know so many men who are just like, I want emo girlfriend, so here we are.
She's the closest thing to big titty goth girlfriend than, like, well, she doesn't have big titties, but I mean, none of the female characters really do. But, like, you know, she's closest to that, let's be real here. The dudes are like, yep, that.
Yep. But her whole storyline is about, she's like,
ironically kind of similar to Astarian's in a way, just a different type of bits.
She's got, but different she was like, essentially has like no memories, and like kind of doesn't really know why she is here as a cleric of Shar, or like what's going on, other than she was given a very specific task to like go get this this prism, which is a D20. It's in the shape of a D20. That's what it.
Also, it's a very important prism in the story. So
yes, very important.
Keep
prism.
that in mind. So she actually is kind of one. You could argue she's one of the more important origin characters in that regard, but
she's kind of working through the fact that like this person she worships is evil.
Yeah, basically, or just sucks, or more so, it's like the worship of her and like how the inner workings of who she's with. How do I say it? The other, I guess, Char worshippers. That environment's not healthy. You kind of unpack this over the course of the game. That she, and of course she hates the Saloonite, but then you learn more about, especially more the situation between the Saloonite. Saloon and Char, and you realize how it got to that point. Not to say that the Saloonites are perfect in any sense, because there's a lot of drama that comes up in Act 2 between that sort of stuff, I feel like, that gets revealed, especially with certain villains. Spoiler. With what's-his-face, Ketherick Thorn, kind of being one, and then eventually becoming not that. And eventually, he hopped from, like, Saloonite to Char to, what's-his-face, the mummy dead god.
Merkel? God of Bones.
Urkel? Oh, yeah, that guy.
Merkel, God of Bones,
Merkel, so, like, that kind of took it down to where it's like, the Saloonites probably have their own issues, and one could argue, like, maybe dropping your kids off in the middle of the woods in a ritual might not be the best idea.
Them to, like, it's like, that also was probably bad. Like, a bad decision overall.
It's like, that's an interesting, trial for your Saloonite kids, but that's the interesting thing, is that she was technically... And that's like a memory of her that she's used in such a different way because they fucked up her memory so much.
I know.
And how they see it. And it's not until, like, actually it's interesting because I think, I don't know if you ever got the mushroom in the Underdark, where the mushroom that you can eat and it restores some memories.
I did, but I didn't.
I got it for her. So I got that for her. Yeah, I gave it to her. And that's where you find out about the beginnings of her friend.
Oh,
from Char. Okay. That, of course, it's under a different name though, because spoiler alert. Her friend, when the time she remembers him, becomes a her. When you run up to that friend again, and they're kind of like, "Oh, hi,
right,
buddy, we were close." It's like, so are you just friends, or are you talking about more than just friends? Don't know for sure, but it also sounds like because of the change in. Depending on how you choose to have Charlotte go at that point, if she goes up against her, if anything, she's probably arguably the most important character, because at that end of Act 2 probably presets everything that happens after that. It's probably the biggest domino effect with finding, the what do they call Aelin? The Night Song. The Night Song. Everything with the Night Song is probably the biggest domino effect for the rest of the game, which
definitely. That is definitely the storyline that has, like, the side, like, it's kind of a side plot, but not really, but it definitely has the longest, like, string, like, of events through the whole game.
Yeah, and also hers probably has the biggest impact on the whole game, because I feel like choosing to save or kill Aelin, like, has the biggest impact overall in the game.
Right, and that's, like, a big Shadowheart thing, but it also...
Not just for Shadowheart, just overall for the game.
Yeah, because it's the whole Ketherick Thorn situation and everything involved there.
Oh, but that scene though gave me freaking chills. I was so on edge when I was down there with her. I was like, holy shit. Oh god. Because I did my best to be on her good side. Whether you decide to romance her or not. Try to keep as much of a good stats with her.
Because that was me with the Astarion, like, trying to ascend him or not situation. I had to redo that cutscene, like, 5 times, because I'm like, I don't know how I get this where he doesn't turn into a vampire.
Yeah. I know. I was just like, oh my god, I was so stressed. I looked out, because I managed to be good terms with her as much that she chose to not go through with it. She chose her will, because you had such a, because if you build it, that's interesting too. If you build
you
it
get,
up,
you definitely you get better like, the roles are easier to pass if you have, like, a good relationship with them, and sometimes you don't get it at all if you don't have a good enough relationship with them. You just immediately fail.
Astoria was consistently, in a lot of my other playthroughs, the one relationship I did not have it built out the best. He was usually neutral.
You gotta be kind of evil in some cases when
Well, I think the big thing, like you mentioned, like, did you let him bite your neck? And I was just like, oh, that's a good point. That was probably a reason why. And that's a big one. I wouldn't say that's an evil act either. It's just
right.
Yeah, that's just like, do you let him feed? Then maybe he'll respect you more if you let him feed on you.
Right.
But going back to Shadowheart, and then there's the whole thing with like yeah, it's interesting the commentary you hear in certain areas of the game from her, because you could hear almost the programming, because I don't know a better way to say it, that Shard did on her, and it's kind of like, damn, she doesn't see it too. It's like, you don't see it at all, girl.
I know.
You are so being abused. Like, maybe not literally, but definitely mentally, because they took your fucking memories away. Because I'm like, what's the point of taking the memories away? Like, what's so bad about retaining memories? Like, what are you trying to hide? You know?
Yeah.
And then I think the thing that was the hardest for me was probably the whole thing with the parents.
Yes.
One in that third act, that was gut-wrenching.
Oh my god, that is easily the hardest in the entire game. Like,
because it's literally the choice of this. It's like, she has this scar that essentially Char can enact pain on her whole body. Yeah. And it, like,
I'm telling you, none of the
her.
endgame fights are anywhere close to as hard as that fight. Like, that fight is so difficult.
Yeah, the one in Char's temple.
Yeah, it's so hard.
Yeah, that was a pain in the ass. But once you get through that, and it's luckily not as long as the Act 2 Char temple thing. Oh god, yeah. It sucked because, like, even if you are trying on good grades so far, you see the influence of Char, just like, she feels she has to do this. It's like, you're just like, ooh, is she gonna go bad that way? And it's like, you don't know, and it's really tense. It's tense for me because I'm like, oh god, is she actually gonna turn out bad? Holy shit, I don't know.
I know.
God, I was tense because I was just like, come on, I gotta get you on my good side, girl. Like, come on, girlie. We need you. We need you to get on the good side here. And thank God I was able to do it, like, twice, at least. And I don't know, maybe one day I'll just let her go full on Dark just this year. But based on what I've seen, it's not as satisfying. It's good acting,
when I was gonna do my Dark Urge when I got there, it was when I was gonna fully ascend Astarion into a vampire and also make Shadowheart like a
Dark Justiciar.
Dark Justiciar, yeah. That was what I was gonna do, both of those things, and I was also gonna go get Minthara because when I played the game, Minthara was not recruitable on a non-evil playthrough.
That's right. Yeah, now you can. Albeit, I did have her for a little bit, but then she was like, "You're not being evil enough," and then straight up left.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not vibing with this.
So I was able to recruit Minthara, but Minthara pieced out. And I was just like, oh, well,
so she's by far the playable character I know the least about, because I simply did not play with her. We walked into the goblin camp and murdered her, and then that was it.
Yeah, basically.
That was the extent of what I interacted with her on.
But there's a lot of cutscenes with Minthara. That's just great. But anyways, back to Shadowheart. But like, goddamn, choosing, because when you do wrap up the Act 3 stuff, you in the temple, her parents are trapped there. They're still alive. They lied to her that they captured her parents. And one of them's a human, because she's a half-elf. The other one's an elf. Her dad's an elf. Yeah. And then the tough decision is, like, basically them being like... Because it's the big conflict is that, like, she could either let them go, like, as in let them die, and then, or pass on, as they put it. And then she then doesn't get that injury on her hand does not inflict her pain, because then that's the last tether to Char. However... she also never really got to have her parents growing up, and I think she selfishly, understandably, wants to have them around. And then it's like, the problem is that she lets them do that. That's still a tether to Char, so then she gets inflicted with Char's pain.
I know, it's so
that's like
sad.
a tough decision at first to do that. But for me, it came down to, like, you know what? The pain... I think the loss would be greater if she never had her parents still to interact with, especially her mom, because her mom's a human, her mom's old now. The pain would be greater of never having that what if of never being able to be with her parents and spend some time with them than it would be dealing with Char's pain. Yeah. Because, like, I don't know how much longer her dad has, because he's an elf, so who knows. But her mom will die. But the last tether would be her dad still living, to be fair. Right. Like... Yeah, so, like, that's, like, a tough thing, because also she's a half-elf. Half-elves will live as long as elves, so, like, I don't know how long her dad's gonna live, but, you know, it's tough. That is heart-wrenching. It is, that was really either brutal, way, she's still kind of screwed, because it's, like, either, well, you don't have her parents in her life, or she gets to still suffer from time to time from Char. Right. And it's, like, because she'll never be fully free of Char, unless both her parents die. which is terrible, you know? It's like, oh god. So it's very bittersweet. I mean, ultimately, though, I chose kept her parents alive, because I'm like, you know what? The pain of dealing with Char's shenanigans once in a while, better than, you know, not having the what if of her parents not being around. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a very bittersweet ending. And I mean, she's also like, her romance stuff is also not that spicy in the grand scheme of things, surprisingly, in my opinion. Maybe a little bit more if you go the dark route with her, but like comparatively, it's not that. It's like it's more subtle. Like it's implied you guys bang on the beach, but you don't see the whole thing happening like you do with other characters. If we do want to get into it, speaking of which, Lae'zel,
oh man, I don't like Lae'zel that much. I don't think she's very interesting as a character at all.
Lae'zel's interesting. I mean, well, in certain regards. Like, in a way, it's kind of funny, though, you say that, because I feel like her and Shadowheart are two sides of the same coin in a lot of ways. Like, well, Astarion, too. It's almost like a three-ring circuits there. But, like, with Shadowheart and Lae'zel, they're dealing with both the environments they grew up in that made them into the people they are. Shadowheart's more on the, you know, cult. Well, I say that Shard's not really a religion, it's more of a cult based on how they act. The Saloonites are more of a religion, I'd say, arguably. But the cult of Shard, and then you have
because Lae'zel is, for me, Lae'zel's storyline is just like a worse version of Shadowheart, because she's also dealing with the like whole like this person I worshipped as a god is actually evil type situation.
But also her whole society is kind of like a shit show.
Yeah.
Because it's very cutthroat, it's brutal. They are fine with killing it depends how in the Githyanki camp, like they'll sometimes kill the teenager that's like just like refusing to like not really go ham at the moment. It's kind of like, oh my god. Jeez. Like, do we have to be that brutal? Like, dude.
Right. Because like, I don't know if we're doing
also, keep in mind,
here.
too, the Githyanki, there's actually technically two types of Gith. There's the Gith Zerai. They don't show up in this. They're hinted at in this game, but they're not playable. You don't really see them in this game. Mm-hmm. And then there's the Githyanki, which is Lae'zel's part of. The Githyanki are basically like, honestly, I kind of joke it's like America, fuck yeah attitude, because they have Yankee in the name. But like the Gith Zerai are supposed to be like, essentially, the vibe I get from them is like they're like monks, mostly influenced by like, it's giving Confucianism, it's giving, you know, Buddhism a little bit. They're more peaceful and chill, hence why you don't see them fighting. The Githyanki are like the warrior guys. Yeah, her being less interesting, I think it's more so like, she's definitely more stubborn in a lot of ways.
I think that's another reason with it is like her whole character archetype is like not a type that I vibe with at all, and I think that's the same thing with Gale. Is like whatever the hell is going on with Gale as a character, like I don't vibe with that. And I also like the Lae'zel like just like stubbornness, just wants to murder like people for like whatever is like I'm not into that. Like it's not interesting to me.
Yeah, but I like though how she grows towards the end personally, because like she's slowly breaking down her wall. She's like changing, but also like I skipped ahead because technically in my playthrough, what's her face? Oren, I think, kidnapped her.
Oh yeah, she kidnapped her for me too. For what I've heard, it's supposed to be random. Almost everyone I've talked to, Oren is kidnapped either Halsin or Lae'zel, or one of the two of them.
Halsin. It's interesting how that works out.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but anyways, but I do like the good ending with her. If I've seen the clips where like if you're in a romance with her, she'll watch. Like she has this really good scene at like the end where she's looking out the ocean. And she's like, okay, there's more to this life. You know, basically, I see beauty and stuff. I'm like, okay, so she is changing. That's wholesome. Apparently, she did that mocap scene too with the actor for Shadowheart, which I find funny. And I guess they're it seems like they're pretty close on the social media.
No, they're like best friends. And that's why I also really love the voice cast, because Lae'zel's voice actress has done like a lot of like Q&A about the game, and she's like super cool. I really like her.
Yeah, and it's funny because she's like done attempted playthroughs of Baldur's Gate too, but she has another person help her out with the fights. And I'm like, okay, I see
voice
what
actor
you're doing.
is doing playthroughs of Baldur's Gate too, and it's so funny because he is just like Astarion. Like he is here to just cause mischief and do like stupid shit. He's just like consistently trying to steal things from people, and the guy he's playing with, and he's like, what the fuck are you doing again? And he's like, right here, I told you to stay still, and you're here stealing stuff.
Jeez. And then same thing with the actor for Shadowheart, and then her girlfriend, which also I think worked, was her like, I guess, director of acting?
I think so, yeah.
So like literally one of the few people I know that fell in love in a workplace. You know,
I think
happens.
The voice cast for this game like are they're like super cool people.
They're really solid.
They're really cool.
Yeah, those three I noticed, those three notably are still doing playthroughs, I think.
Yeah.
They're still ongoing. They're not even finished with the games yet.
I know, because the game is so goddamn long.
I know. I mean, Astarion, Neil is probably the one furthest along, if anything.
Yeah, because he's been doing it for a while, but still, it's like, man.
It's like, goddamn. I know. It's wild. And it's like, god damn, I actually did so much. And it's like funny how you side tangent before I get into the other few. It's crazy how much of like we recognize them as like individual actors for this game, because I don't think there's really too many other games you know about. I know. Character actors like that.
And
like
I
these
think
guys
weirdly, because they used mocap for a lot of the stuff, I do feel like the characters do like resemble the voice actors in a lot of ways because of that.
In certain aspects. I know not for every scene they used them, particularly the sex scenes. They probably use different people for some of those scenes. Like the physical mocap of those scenes.
Some of them did do it.
Yeah.
Because
maybe for the more simple ones.
Well, I know Neil runs like a mocap company. Like he's big into mocap, and he has like a whole company that is sort of about like helping people do it, and then also like organizing it using mocap for video games. Yeah,
because mocap cool. Never really worked well in films, but better for video games, I felt like, which makes sense in the grand scheme of things. But
I think some of the actors are like more comfortable doing mocap because they've done it before. So I think some of them have actually done more, like they were more involved with that.
Also, yeah, speaking of Lae'zel's actor, she was also like pregnant part of that time too.
Oh my
god. Which I probably think that's where like this. I wouldn't be surprised if they created the whole like Githyanki Egg son storyline because of that. Right. Honestly, albeit I think she actually has a daughter or something. But either way, still kind of funny how that happened. Right. I'm like, oh, that's honestly impressive, honestly. But also, like, Lae'zel's also the one, like, for one of her sex scenes, she's just, like, full out in the nude. She is, like, full out in the nude. I'm just like, oh, okay, we're just seeing that right now.
I know.
And you thought it was just, it's like, you thought it was just character creation? Nope. No, it's not. Yeah. No, it's not just character creation, my dude.
Because I'm so into, like, speedrunning as a concept, one of the things that I saw was, like, when the Baldur's Gate speedruns were going on.
Oh, yeah.
And then there, at one point in time, there was, like, it was called the Lae'zel percent, because it was, like, sex percent, but it was always Lae'zel, because he was the easiest character to do it.
They changed it, I know. They put a mod to, like, update that to be like, no, you can't do it as easily, sorry.
And I know they also had to fix Gale's whole thing, because it was like, you give him a magic item and he's all of a sudden obsessed with you. And it's just like, my guy, you gotta stop.
Like, dude, I'm just a bro. Gale actually gives me very much bro vibes, honestly.
He is a bro, for sure.
Like, he's a good bro character.
He's a bro. He's a dude bro.
Yeah, no, seriously, you don't need to romance him. He will be fine dude bros with you, honestly. Yes. And, like, I like that. I'm like, friendship Gale, I'm here for. I'm here for it. And then, okay, anything else? Oh, yeah, we're missing Karlach. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Tragic. Talk about just the universe not being your biggest fan.
I love Karlach. She's so funny. Like, she's
fantastic.
So she's such a good character, and I also
so much fun.
I honestly feel like she's got one of the lesser developed storylines of all of the characters, though, which is a little bit unfortunate.
I think they did a lot of work to her character for a long time, because I know for her actor, they brought her on the last 7 months, so she was like go trying to finish up her stuff. So I think they kind of, it sounds like they had a tough time nailing her character arc for a long time.
If there was going to be a DLC of the game, I do feel like it probably would have been like the Will Karlach situation in Avernus. Like, that's probably what it would have focused on. But I just am a little bit upset like they didn't do a little bit more with her, because there is like the whole situation of like, well, she's got it's kind of a Gale situation where she's got an infernal engine in her heart, and she is kind of unstable to be in like the regular human realm, like, or else, like, because she needs to kind of go back to hell, or else her heart's gonna explode. But because of the, like, mind flayer tadpole, she's kind of stabilized here for the time being. But it's that's what most of her storyline is in the earlier parts, and it's like it's her, and then there's like the her and Will relationship kind of stuff.
Yeah, and then of course throwing Gortash. Oh god, and all that, and then
that was brutal. Watching the Karlach break down after killing Gortash, like that was like a real brutal scene.
Because it's like, yeah, it doesn't remove the problem. Like
it doesn't. It's like, yeah, he's dead, but like my life is still fucked up. Yeah,
I'm still screwed. Like either I die here, or I have to go back and probably die in Avernus at some point.
Right.
And it's like that just sucks. Like the universe, it's like, yikes! It's like she was too trusting of the wrong people, and it sucks because that happens. And I hate to say it, but her story to me gives off the vibe, like the story of like a human trafficking situation in a way.
Yeah,
you know?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like it definitely got that vibe, along with a permanent like disability, which I mean,
yes.
You could interpret that as you. I don't know if I want to get into it, but I think you can interpret what something like that could be as in a real world situation.
Oh, definitely.
But, it sucks because it's kind of like your story is like, yep, sometimes you trust the wrong people and life is against you, and it sucks. But sometimes the only thing you can do is try to smile and find a way to be happy in spite of it, you know? And, like, I do like that they fixed her ending, too, from what I heard, that, like, you can go and kick ass in Avernus with her and fight if you're her, like, romance partner. But also, you can even if a romance partner, or hell, you and Will could go, because you could romance Will, and then still could choose to go to Avernus to help Karlach out. So, like, Karlach's not alone. She either has a homie, or a lover, or, like, you know, Will with her, or another buddy, you know? Like, so she doesn't have to be alone in Avernus.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Which is, like, better than being alone, honestly, or dying. Yeah. So, but yeah, Karlach is just fucking hilarious.
She's so funny.
And also just... probably a personification of ADHD in general, because she cannot sit still. She is like off in the corner doing the
it's because
dance.
She has to, because her engine is gonna explode if she isn't moving. But like it's just so funny if you're like at camp and then in the corner, like Karlach just over there doing a little dance.
She's just over there just like busting a move. It's like, oh, okay, I see. All right. Oh, but I wouldn't be surprised too if she was like that prior.
No, I feel like Karlach is just so fun as a character that it's like that's probably just what she
gives perfect drinking buddy vibes too.
Yeah.
Like if you were one of those who were like, let's go out to the club or something, or like go to a pub, like that's your drinking buddy. Like she is there to drink, to party.
Right.
Basically. Also, I feel like the relationship her and Damon. People were just like, let's ship those people together. I'm like, really?
Really?
I mean, yeah, he helps fix her.
I mean, sure, I guess.
A little bit, I guess, like, but... Yeah. Okay.
I've also seen a lot of people who just want to romance Damon, like, generally, so...
I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Right, it's just like, this, like, one random-ass side character.
Oh my god. I don't get it. If anything, if we're not gonna talk further tieflings, the one surprise romance that showed up between secondary characters, assuming they live past the whole attack on the Moonlight Inn or whatever it's called.
Right.
I would say what's it, Alfira, and then what's her name? The other blue one. Oh, Lacrissa.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, those two. That's like, oh, okay, you're a thing now. Okay.
Right.
Surprise. Assuming they both live after that attack.
Right. That's also a hard encounter to get her to live through.
I did multiple playthroughs just to make sure they would live, personally. And also just to get better practice to defend what's her name from the trader.
Oh, what is her name?
Oh, what's her name? The Saloonite girl.
It's Aelin, but I don't remember the other. What's her name? I forgot all the character names.
Yeah, Ketheric Thorne's. Surprise! It's the daughter of Ketheric Thorne.
Daughter of Ketheric Thorne, yeah.
Yeah, daughter of Ketheric Thorne. And then Aelin's just like, yo, hold up, let me and my love bang. We're gonna smash. And she's just like, what the hell?
It's so funny.
Like, I know you're deprived, but still, what the hell? You don't just say that.
When I found out that those two were in a relationship, and then it was like, Oh yeah, then Ketherick Thorne like kidnapped her and like chains her to a thing, and I was like, oh, Ketherick Thorne's like low key a little bit homophobic.
That or well, it's either that or like I guess having your child fall in love with like a half god.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's a little weird. It's like. Which, like, it's like, is he homophobic, or is it because it's
definitely not because he's homophobic, but the way that, like, it's structured is, like, could be homophobic. Like, that's not
it could,
an unrealistic
I think it was more so the fact that it was, like, the fact that of Aelin being,
I think it was, he wanted his daughter alive, and he also wanted to be immortal. It was, like, a lot of different situations involved with the things that he's doing there.
Yeah, because she was, like, actually dead in a coffin. Because when you go into the, before you go into the Shar Temple section, like...
Right.
Oh, actually, yeah. Oh, actually, is that enough we could say about the characters? So then we could talk about the act designs and, like, the stuff that happens in the acts.
Yeah, just to say, if there were any certain things in each act that you thought were particularly, like, really good
actually, there's one more thing I forgot to mention. The Dark Urge. That's a custom character.
Oh, yeah, Dark Urge.
Dark Urge.
I didn't fully play Dark Urge. Like, that playthrough for me is still in Act 1, so I haven't seen
I'm a little bit traumatized that we killed off Alfira because of that.
I know, it's really upsetting.
Like, oh my god, no.
So upsetting.
Because some people say that the Dark Urge is, like, the true playthrough.
Right.
But I'm just like, I refuse. You know what, Lacrissa and Alfira need to exist together? No, that can't be it. I apologize. She can't be killed off in the camp. No. I refuse.
I don't know if I believe that without being, like, the truest of playthroughs. I feel like if
we do know, though, someone that did... We know of someone that created it.
Yeah. It's just, like, I also, like, I see how you get more storyline out of that, but I feel like forcing the player character into a specific storyline, I feel like, does take away from the game in some aspects, so I don't know if I would, like, recommend people always play the Dark Urge for the best, like, version of the story either.
It is more tied to, though, the original Ball Spawn storyline of 1 and 2, though. And with Orin, let's be real here, because Orin's
I love the
ball!
Yeah.
I love the Ball Spawn! Murder. Literally is murder on her mind. Literally. Murder on her mind all
Orin's
the time.
Crazy. Crazy.
Literally. I mean, but yeah, they set up the Dark Urge to be like a white Dragonborn character, but like you can customize your character to be anything.
I mean, you can still customize your character in any way you want.
They just have the tendencies of like, you know, having to deal with, you know, the crazy shit that happens in that story playing through. I haven't gotten too much into it, but like, my god. It's like, yeah, you could just like rip Gil's arm off if you really wanted to and kill him. I'm like, oh, okay.
There's a lot of things there where you could just like very easily just accidentally kill a person on purpose or by accident, both.
Like, really, it's like, okay, then murder. But anyways, back to the act setup. Prologue. I think the prologue's solid with start off stuff, you know, on the Nautiloid.
It's fine, yeah.
Yeah, it gets the job done, you know. Pretty straightforward. I mean, my suggestion is just free Shadowheart, so you have like a third party, 3 people in your party, because you also have Lae'zel hop on in and be like, hey, homies, what's up? Or not like that. She was more like, I will kill you, and then, oh my god, we both have tadpoles on our heads.
Yep.
Let's kill people.
Yeah, it's like cool.
Let's take control of the ship. But yeah, just cool. Free Shadowheart. Because it's helpful to have 3 people for that fight in the control room, personally. Yeah, what else is there? Act
1 is honestly a kind of a slog to get through. In a lot of ways.
That prologue section, yeah, a little bit, but it's not too bad.
For me, Act 1 as a whole, well, I guess it also has to do with the fact that I've played it through 2.5 times now, and it's like, I don't want to play this again.
I mean, if you take some time between the next playthroughs, yeah.
It's a little bit, I feel like it's a little bit less interesting than Act 2 and 3.
Yeah, I mean, Act 1, though, is like the setup, let's be real here. It's like, because, like, Act 1, technically what's part of Act 1, there's a lot to it, if you think about it. There's the above ground stuff, there's the Underdark stuff, and then you go even further into the Grimforge stuff, and then you go into, like, the entryway to Act 2. But then, you could also choose to go to the Overpass, which, honestly, maybe you do want to do the Overpass to the Githyanki place first, just to get that done, and then go back to the Underdark.
Right. You can also still do that all when you're in Act 2. You can go back to all the Act 1 areas up until the point where you go into the night song.
The descending into the night song, that's the hard
like
stuff that you can't go back.
Return, yeah.
So like definitely save, restore your health before then, because
right.
you might have to have a fight if you choose to, unless you decide to try to kill a certain enemy before then. Which
I will say that fight is such a bitch, that with the night song fight.
But that's why the second time I chose to kill him sooner.
Yeah, and then
in
my multiplayer playthrough, we killed him when we first met him, and we just like didn't do it entirely. And I was like, damn, that saves so much time.
I almost got wiped the deck though because his minions kept spawning, and then his big orc guy kept kicking my ass, but. He's so much. I find the fight with him in the office to be so much easier. Also, oh wait, we should probably still talk about Act 1. Yeah. We have there's side character wise. There's the Ethel.
That's probably my favorite part of Act 1 is like the swamp hag whole situation. Although literally I do not, like actual swamp hag. I hate Mayrina. Oh my god, I can't stand her. She's the worst, actually.
She's annoying. I don't think I encountered her later on. I don't know if I encountered her later on, because I guess she shows up later on in another act.
And
assuming you let her live.
She's a little bit less annoying in Act 3.
Okay,
but my god, like in Act 1, right after you get her out of the hag deal, she's so fucking obnoxious that all she wants to do is like reincarnate her husband as a zombie, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, what are you doing right now?
I mean, clearly I don't know if she's preggo at that time, but
I think she is, technically.
So she's like obsessed with having that complete family, so she's not completely alone with a kid.
No, because she was ready to fully sacrifice the life of her child to reincarnate her husband, is what was happening there. So it's like,
oh yeah, good point. That's right. I'm like, girl, I don't think you're thinking this through.
Like, girl,
and then on top of that, her brothers died because of the fucking swamp.
I know, it's like insane, and I'm like, what the fuck is the matter with you?
Like, come on, Mayrina.
Get it together. Get your life together, my girl.
But also, you technically do meet the hag in the tiefling camp.
You do.
As well.
I realized she was there in my single player playthrough, and I was like, I wonder what happens if I were to just walk up to her and attack her right now.
Then the whole camp will probably attack you.
You hit her and she runs away, so you can't bypass the hag sequence, unfortunately.
Yeah, and also, I don't know if you want to attack someone in the camp, too. I feel like the tieflings would
I did it, but they didn't do anything about it. You just hit her and she runs away. Like, it's very...
Oh, that's funny.
It's not very interesting, unfortunately.
Oh, actually, speaking of which, did you get Withers first in your playthroughs? Did you go try to... Did you explore that temple area first?
No. In our multiplayer one... He just showed up eventually because we missed him. But in my single player one, once I knew that he was a guy, and I was exploring more, I went and I got him. But if you forget about him, he will just show up at your camp eventually.
Oh, nice. Like, what, in Act 2 or something?
No, like, in Act 1. Like, it was like, we just took a couple long rests, and all of a sudden he was just there. And I was like, who is this man just at the camp?
Oh, I was about to say, like, yeah, there's the, oh god, because that temple, too, has the whole timing thing with, like, the crypt.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with that. I usually use Astarion, because he's able to point out the traps. And then I also have him, like, assuming he's able to pick the lock or, like, open up the chest in time to open up the other door. Because, like, if he doesn't, like, observe it or sense the roll properly, that trap will go off the moment you open that chest. So, frankly, it's easier just to unmark everyone else, get him to do it, so if it goes wrong, you can get him and get him out of there. But then you have to worry about the rest of the world being turn-based, which is kind of annoying, because the whole room self-destructs, practically, so... That was a bitch for me to figure out for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And then there was, like, the skeleton fight, which I learned, just take the shit away from the skeletons, and then they can't hit you properly or damage you as badly.
I know, it's honestly... It's like,
and
then
I would separate
some
people.
of these fights is really good.
Yeah, and then I would separate the people, like, and stage them in different locations, and then I would go press the button, and then they could fight people better.
Yeah,
for that section. That was great. And that's how I got Withers out.
Yeah.
Also, isn't it implied that he's basically a god too, Withers?
He is a god, essentially, and he's just, like, kind of here observing, like, not really doing anything, like, bad or good, but he's, like, around, I guess. He's cool, though. I love Withers. He's cool. He's a cool guy.
It's like, correct. Will you tell me more? No.
Yeah.
I will not elaborate them further. Like, I'm too old for this shit. I'm not telling you more. Keep it short and sweet. What else was interesting? Oh, the whole tiefling conflict thing, too. Because, like, druids! Yeah. What the hell, druids?
I know, it's super rude, actually.
I'm like, guys, what the hell? You're that dysfunctional about Halsin, and Kaga has that much influence over your asses? Right. My god.
Like, my god.
Oh, did you fight the harpies, too?
I did really like that. It was a thing I only found on the like, second go-around because we missed it the first time entirely.
It's crazy, too, because when you meet up with Alfira and hear her song, I usually just let her figure it out on her own, and then you hear the whole song, and it's just like, oh, actually, this is quite nice.
Right.
And the scenery panoramas, it's, like, super nice, because it goes into a nice thing where you hear her sing the song. I'm like, aw, this is wholesome. And then afterwards, you just walk a little bit closer to the other edge. This music transitions really well to the harpy singing.
Yeah, it really
I'm like,
does.
Oh, that shit slaps so good.
It does. It is really good.
Oh my god, it was so good. Oh, there's so much in Act 1 I practically have, like, memorized. It's, like, insane. The owl... I always have the worst luck getting the owlbear in my camp.
Oh, I love the owlbear. He's my favorite. I love him
I never have luck getting him on my camp. He either gets killed or
You do have to do things in a very specific order in order to get the owlbear to show up,
I always suck. Scratch, though, is great. I love Scratch.
Love Scratch and the owlbear. I love having both of them. Very good.
Yeah, because the owlbear did visit my camp once, but then he scampered off and didn't stay.
He does.
I'm like, what
he
the
does
fuck?
Scamper off, but he's supposed to come back again. And then I think that second or third time is when you give him for real.
Yeah, I never got him back, though, which is, like, kind of annoying. I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
Damn it. Whatever. So yeah, I have the worst luck with the owlbear. Maybe the rest of you have better luck, but I have terrible luck with the owlbear. Stay in the camp.
Having them speak with animals and talking to the owlbear is so fun. It's one of my favorite things to do. He's like, I love him.
It's such a distinctive way of speaking, too. Scratch is like almost like a normal conversation.
He's like Scratch is like a little gentleman.
Yeah. Scratch is cute. I'm like, oh, precious.
And then it's always like the one meme of like, I appreciate when the developers put in the ability to pet the dog in any game, which is
it's like, oh, you can pet the dog and give him the ball, and he gets things for you too, so you can use
he's so
or
good.
Sell.
He's I love when Scratch will just bring you stuff. I was like, such a good dog.
He's such a good boy. He's literally a good boy dog.
Yes.
He is the good boy.
He's the goodest of boys.
The goodest of the boys. Oh god, what else is there? There's also... it's in Act 1. Oh yeah, there's the whole Goblin Camp thing. There's the whole...
Nothing in the Goblin Camp I find to be, like, too, like... interesting. It's pretty standard, like, you're in a goblin camp type stuff.
But also, like, the goblin camp leads to the Selûnite Tower, which you can use to get into the Underdark. Which I actually figured out the way how to open up that tower, too. Mm-hmm. Which, like, isn't too bad. And there's also, like, a... There's like
getting into the Underdark, like jumping down the hole in the spider pit or whatever area.
Oh god, the spiders suck fighting them. They're like so annoying. I did not.
That's where everything got enlarged, reduced at random for me was in the spider hole.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh god, that must have been chaotic.
It was very chaotic, and that's like one of my least favorite encounters because they can teleport, and it's so annoying.
Oh god, it's annoying, and the little kids too. And like, I used Astarion a lot and any of the distant attackers for that one, because I was just like, get away from me.
It's like, get out of here.
I'm gonna firebomb your asses away from my ass. Oh my god, the Underdark's huge too. I never finished most of the stuff in the Underdark though.
I think I never saw the fish people in the Underdark. I think that's the one big thing that I missed down there.
Well, for me, the fish people were in Act 2. I didn't know they were in the Underdark.
So
honestly.
in the Underdark, you know that tower with the turrets on it in the Underdark? Did you go over there?
Is that the one with the robot guy in it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I've been to that. I did not see the fish people there.
There is like a set of mushrooms set on a cliff that if you jump down them, you get to this little area of fish people who are trying to like summon Baal, except they're not summoning the right god. They're summoning Bual, who is like a separate fake god. And you can, if you want to, you can kill one of your party members there as a sacrifice to the fake god, and it'll give you a buff of some sort. I don't remember what it is, but
oh my god. Yeah,
that reminds me, it's in a similar
I didn't know they were there, though. I only saw them in Act 2.
No, they're so far out of the way. Like, you have to know about it specifically, or you have to be going out of your way to doing, like, every little nook and cranny over there to see where they are.
Yeah, I totally missed it, because I made it to the tower, which took forever to get through, because
that's like it's a very, like, hidden side area.
Yeah, because the entrance to the tower had all those, like, diamond things that would attack you and try to vaporize you. That was such a bitch to get through.
Actually awful trying to do that part.
That was terrible. I hated doing that.
I had no idea what the hell I was doing.
Yeah, I'm like, how do I get past this? What the fuck? Okay.
Yeah.
Because you have to somehow get across there and then shut it off so it doesn't attack the rest of your party members.
Right. In a similar vein to the fish person's giving you a buff, did you meet that like weird BDSM guy in the goblin camp?
Yes.
Who just,
okay, and I guess who loved seeing you get whipped.
Who
Shadowheart.
absolutely loves that. So
Shadowheart loves that shit. She was so into that. She's like,
having the
whip
party being Lizelle, Shadowheart, and Hysteria, and watching them like have them watch you like this guy whip you multiple times is so funny.
And, like, he looks like, he does look like he's from, like, some weird BDSM torture channel, too. He's like, I worship the goddess of pain. I'm like, I can see that.
Buddy.
Right. And then, like, it's funny because the goblins are talking about that weird priest over there.
Yeah, that weird guy over there.
Yeah, weird guy in the corner, just, okay. I don't know what he's doing. But yeah, definitely helps with your relationship with Shadowheart for some reason. She doesn't like sea pain.
Yeah, Shadowheart
except for that.
Hysteria love that shit.
Clearly, someone's kinky. That's all I'm gonna say. Someone is clearly kinky. I'm not gonna elaborate further, but clearly, because like, what the fuck?
Right.
God, the whole Goblin Camp section too, Mike. And then like, okay, so how did you kill the first chick? Because like,
which one?
The not Minthara and not the red dude.
Oh, the priestess?
Yeah, because I learned the trick.
So she was the last person we killed in our multiplayer playthrough, and then I learned from that, and then figured out that I went into the back room she's in, I closed all the door, I shot the one guy who's stuck in a cage across the way, because he'll alert everyone else if you kill him, because he can see into that room from over there. And then I just took her out real fast, and then I opened the door and walked back out.
So for me, so here's interesting thing. I used Gale for this reason, or Will, depending on the circumstance, but I oftentimes use Gale. So using Gale to go along and drink the wolfsbane poison she gives you, knocks you out, puts you in jail, you wait to attack, but then it turns out, a dwarf female just magically appears through and slices her throat for you. And then she's like, shit, oh, yes. Damn. And then she, she's just like, oh, my master sent me to help you out. Take a while to guess who her master ends up being.
Who?
What's his face? The pretty boy demon.
Raphael?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so and it's funny because she even appeared. I didn't interact with her, but I caught her in the second act, like looking onto my team from a distance.
Is there this? Like, oh my god, there's this girl. Have you done the Raphael fight in Act 3?
I have not, no, but I know that she works for him.
I bet I know what character. I bet I know what character that is then.
Yeah.
Because you meet her again there.
That's interesting that you can meet her there and she saves your ass from.
Yeah, that's
and you don't have to kill her. Yeah, and on top of that, the giant org that's in the background area, she's killed back there, and then like that whole area is you can access and take things, and then like explore go through the tunnel to get to the Saloonite Tower, basically from there. So it's like a quicker, easier way to get through there too.
Right. Interesting.
I always had the hardest time though killing what's his name, the red dude, Raz, whatever.
Yeah, he's rough. That fight's pretty hard.
That fight's fucking such a bitch. Then Thara is easier to knock out or kill.
We in my multiplayer playthrough, we literally shoved her down that hole, that pit, and that was that.
Yeah, much easier. And then, like, also that guy, the one who's a prisoner in the camp, will bring you to her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The one that's the camp goblin that you could save or not save, depending on how angry the tiefling back there is. But yeah.
Do you want to get into Act 2 now then?
Yeah. How did you end up killing what's his face? Because I tried to be sneaky, but I always had to go all out melee because I never was able to push him into the hole on time.
Yeah, no, I just think I remember in the multiplayer one, I got pushed down into the pit with the spiders with Lizelle. And so we just, like, straight up hung out there for most of the fucking 2 of us. And I was like, well, I can't move because if I move, I'm going to aggro the spiders.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure we just had to, like, I don't think it was anything special. We just had to, like, all out attack him.
Jeez. Yeah.
But my multiplayer playthrough was very magic ranged focused as well.
That's fair. Though I can imagine that being interesting because you can't, like, hit people.
Yeah, because I was a druid, and then at some point I got tired of being a druid, so I respec'd into a wizard. And then one of my friends is a cleric, and my other friend is a ranger. And then we have Karlach, and we bring her everywhere.
You're just like, Karlach shall be our muscle mommy.
Yeah, I was like, that's because also we did a really bad job, party members wise. We straight up told Astarion to fuck off when we first met him, and then and then we didn't realize that means we just don't get to have him for the game.
Oh my god.
So we just didn't have him, and then Gale straight up left us. He just, like, one day we gave him magic items, then he was like, I don't like it here, I'm gonna fucking leave, and then he just fucking left. And I was like, okay. So now we're down, we had Lizelle, and then Shadowheart, and Will. I think that's it. And then we got Jaheira killed in Act 2, so we couldn't recruit her, and we couldn't recruit Minsk.
Oh, man.
And then we have Halston, but he sits around and he does nothing, so...
Fair enough. So that's an interesting group of people.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy what we're doing in that playthrough.
And Lizelle got kidnapped in your group?
Yeah, she did get kidnapped.
Oh my god. She just got Shadowheart, Will, and Karlach.
So we don't use anyone. We simply just bring around, we have 3 of us and we bring Karlach with us, so that's all we do.
Fair enough. My god. Oh, crazy. But anyways, yeah, Act 2. Ooh, Act 2.
Act 2 is kind of crazy because it, like, suddenly becomes like I'm playing a horror game right now. Like, the dark, whatever they call it, the dark lands. The Shadow Curse lands.
The Shadow Curse lands.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is like a horror
Victorian
game right
horror?
now. Like, I'm playing like a zombie horror game right now.
Well, yeah. Well, of course, there's also the part that's to get the Yankee Crash. That gets interesting. The fights there can get pretty.
Yeah,
brutal.
that's a hard area.
That's a hard area, but like I end up doing it in my main playthrough eventually because I entirely missed it and skipped it the first time. I was just like, oh
yeah,
shit.
It's an easy area to just not interact with.
And I missed finding the mace. That was a really good weapon in there.
Oh, I missed that my first time too because I literally went up to the statue you needed to turn. And every single person in my party failed athletics to move the statue, so it was like, well, I guess we're not gonna do it. Like, I guess we just won't get that mace.
Jeez. Yeah, I didn't know about that till, like, last time, and I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, crud. Okay, well, so much for that.
Yep.
So I was like, I wanted to give my clerics better maces, but I guess I can't.
Right.
But yeah, no, but, oh. Also, I'm impressed with how, in the Shadow Curse lands, how linear that storyline is for the most part.
It is.
It's very linear when you think about it comparatively.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Because then there's the whole... I mean, the land literally affects you.
Yeah, because the area itself is, I think, there's less stuff to explore. There are, clear static boss fights in that area. But apart from that, all you really need to do is, like, you gotta do the Temple of Shar, and then you gotta do, like, a little bit of stuff at, I forgot what it's called, but the Ketheric Thorn Castle, whatever.
Yeah, and then there's the inn, and then all the other stuff's, like, kind of walled off, and you need to get the special light, but in order to get the special light, you either would have to. I ended up joining that with a Nightcrawler. I joined the party, was able to get up to the room with Kedrick Thorne's, I guess, second in command, and then get that lamp from that. Oh God, that blood-soaked room.
Awful room. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was able to pickpocket and sneak into Kedrick Thorne's room and meet his pet robot dog.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, and steal some stuff from Kedrick Thorne. That's when I learned about the true connection between him and it's Isabel. His daughter's name's Isabel.
Definitely.
Learned about that. I was just like, oh, well, it wasn't direct. I don't know if it was directly her, but it was pretty obvious. It was like, because like stuff also the dog actually, if you have the animal speaking ability with the dog literally straight up, it's if you're like part Saloonite, he mentions like, oh, you smell the same as my master, and I'm just like, excuse me. So are you implying he's a saloon? He used to be a Saloonite?
Right.
No. Okay.
He's making deals with the Bone God.
Well, Char and then eventually Bone God, but you know, there was a transition there, I guess. Yep. But yeah, wow. It's intense. That whole Shadow Curse Land storyline gets there, and then there's there's the other sections too with like the Trollbridge lady, and then the whole Victorian creepy fucking doctor and the nurses. Yeah. Oh my god, talk about Victorian horror.
I know, it's like
I was able to convince the doctor to like off himself though.
Yeah, I did that one. Also, there's the guy at the bar.
Yeah, that fat. I had to fight him. I
convinced that guy to kill himself.
I wasn't able to.
I got Asterion to do that for me.
only the devil in the Shar Temple and the doctor, I was able to do that.
I got the doctor too. I got.
And then I found poor what's her face's parents.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
Oh, I was like, okay, I'm killing all the freaking nurses now. Screw it, I'm killing nurses. I don't care. Yeah. Arabella's parents, who apparently Arabella now has superpowers, magical powers.
She does have superpowers.
The only one with like living parents too in that camp. It's so cruel.
It's so sad.
And who knows what happened to a good chunk of them. It sounds like half of them died or the other ones split off.
I know.
Yeah, which sucks, but yeah.
What's a plot point in Act 2 that still doesn't fully make sense to me is the Zevlor thing with the Tiefling guys. Because everyone else in there is like, oh, we're so mad because the Zevlor abandoned us. Where it was like very clear he was like mind controlled by like a parasite and then taken into a Nautiloid.
Well, yeah, but apparently I don't think they recognized he was being mind
and I was like, that's not his fault at all. And I was like, and he also felt an immense amount of guilt. And I was like, I purely think that if you go back there and tell them what happened and where you were just at, like, they would get it. Like, maybe,
but who knows? They might have been too scared off at that point that it was just like null and void. Yeah. I don't know. But yeah. Yeah, that's fair. And then if the three siblings, the Tiefling siblings, what's his name? Rowan, I think, the oldest one.
I don't remember any of
where
the
his siblings got kidnapped. People. Oh yeah, there was also the heist to save the gnomes from the Underdark.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, what do you think about Grimforge? Before we go further, what do you think about the Grimforge part?
I don't. It was fine. Like, I didn't love it. It was pretty average for me.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I was just like, oh my god. I don't know, what was his face? That, like, drow. I was so happy to kick his ass.
Nier, or whatever his name is? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, screw you. You need to go.
He sucked.
He sucked.
That guy sucked.
Yeah, he sucked. I mean, granted, I don't know, siding with the dwarves was the best idea, but, like, the Iron Hit gnomes ended up also kind of sucking, too. I mean, fuck Wolverine.
Wolverine, yeah, everyone hates Wolverine Punkle.
That song, I'm like, oh god, I love that.
Wolverine Punkle.
Freaking joke rap song, I'm like, I love that shit.
It's great.
But it's true, he's like such a dick,
he
and I'm
sucks.
like, why the heck did Bacchus think he was a friend or something? I'm like, is he just that dense? That clueless? I
don't know. He's just like, he's too nice. Like, I don't get it. It's like, my guy, this man is evil.
Like, dude, he don't give two shits about you.
No.
He just wants to use you. It's like, sucks. I was like, oh. Feel bad. Bacchus is the homie.
I know, poor Bacchus. Love Bacchus.
Poor Bacchus. Anyways, God, yeah, the whole underground thing. It was, and after you free the Night Song or Killer, it's just like fight after fight after fight.
I know, you really hit like 4 boss fights right in a row.
Like, go, and you're just tired. And you, as long as you save right after all that ends, you're good. So then you can heal. Because then, once you go across, and of course there's the tieflings from the crash that are waiting for you there. So you have to fight them.
Right.
And then I would save again to make sure you go across, and then you go to Baldur's Gate. You're almost there, and then oops, you're in another fight.
And then it's like, wait a second, no, you're these Githyanki.
Oh god, that kicked my ass so many times. I think it was the gift that's protecting the prince, the gift prince. Yeah. And then that's when you find out about your guardian being like a nautiloid dude.
Right, is the Mind Flayer Emperor, and I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And it's like from that point on, after you find out that your guardian is the Mind Flayer Emperor, it truly feels like you're in an abusive relationship with him. Like,
no, yeah. It's like at this point, it's like, should I listen to you?
Worse.
Like, what happens if I don't listen to you? Like, is it going to be worse if I don't listen to you, or what? I can't tell.
He's bad.
But yeah. And then there's Act 3.
Act 3 is so good. I love it.
And then it's so fucking massive.
It's massive because every storyline has to end. So there's like so much, like insane amount of shit to do in Act 3.
Of the stuff I did, found the tavern where Alfira, what's her name? Alfira and freaking Lacrissa are working, playing shit. I'm like, okay, you guys have fun. And then we got our nice fancy room there, so I don't have to live out in the woods anymore.
Right. That is also very nice.
Plus, there's the child, who is not evil, I guess.
No, I think Orin can kidnap her, is I think what's going on with the child, but I've never had that happen, so I don't really know what's going on there.
Yeah, so the child is not evil, she just makes soup.
Yeah.
Basically, you get good soup. And there's also a cat.
There's a cat, yes.
There's a cat. You get nice beds, and then Aelin and Nightwatch can stay until you, try to find Lorarkin.
Oh yeah, that guy's
And then Rowan tries to work for him, and I guess you can tell it's not going well there.
I murder that guy every time, he sucks.
Yeah, Lorarkin sucks, he needs to go, he needs to die. And then, of course, but the win at the end of the day is that Rowan and his 2 siblings get to live there. And run the place now. Which slay, honestly.
Yeah.
You go, Rowan, boss. Even though you're kind of like high and mighty in the beginning, but you know what? You ultimately won.
Yes.
You got a magic shop on your own, dude. Which is awesome. And then we find Jahira's kids. Oh yeah, and we meet Jahira.
Yes.
Who is like one of the main characters from the OG games.
Yeah, her and Minsk, her friend.
Yeah, which I have
Minsk,
not
voiced by Matthew Mercer.
I have seen Minsk, but I haven't gotten him to join the party yet.
I have. I didn't use him at all because he's a ranger and he's not super useful, but he does have a hamster. And you can throw the hamster at people, and I think that's very fun.
I find that the hamster is more OP than any other hamster in existence.
It's super. You can do a lot of fun things with this character. I just never. And every character has different dialogue interactions with his hamster too. It's really fun.
That is funny. Damn.
My favorite parts of Act 3. Did you do the Iron Throne rescue Will's dad section?
No, not yet. No.
That's one of my favorite encounters in the game. I think it's super. It's because it's not a full combat section. I'll say that.
Okay.
So I love that, and my 2 favorites I think are ones you haven't done because it's that, and it's also Raphael's house.
Yep, I figured.
Those are my
I know about the
favorite.
song. I know about the song.
The song, the boss music is so good.
I know about the song. I have not.
So
I also know that's where what's their face, the demon that can shift
Harleap.
Yep, Harleap.
Which is just a demon, a separate version, a second version of Raphael, because Raphael only wants to have sex with himself.
But, like, Harleap can also change it to a woman.
Yes, Harleap can be a woman Raphael as well, in case Raphael's feeling spicy.
Which is wild in
it's
of
crazy.
itself, too.
But those are, I think, by far my 2 favorite parts of
Yeah, I know. I need to get to that at some point. I just haven't.
The Shadowheart House of Grief fight is the hardest fight in the game, for sure.
Probably. I was so happy when I kicked its ass. Oh my god.
The other one that I found really hard was, the Orin fight. I thought that was really hard.
Oh, I have not found her yet. I'm still looking for her trifling ass.
Yeah.
Because I know there's all the sewage systems, too, have a lot of exploring
Oh my god, yeah.
Too.
So, Orin's stuff is kind of in the sewers.
I figured. She is trash anyway,
There's a lot of random shit. There was, like, a lot of random side quest shit in the sewers, honestly. They're not, none of the big encounters are really down there.
I need to, like, go explore that more. I think that the whole thing with the Iron Hand gnomes, too, is a thing, with, like, trying to...
Yeah,
Yeah, they're just being used and abused, shocker.
Yep.
Who saw that coming?
What else?
And they were just like, it's their fault entirely, and it's like, are you sure it's like, the gnome's fault? Are you sure they're not being abused? No, it turns out they're being abused.
Wolverine Funkle sucks.
Wolverine doesn't know the full picture.
He doesn't. He's disillusioned. What is the word I'm trying to say? Delusional.
Like, they're going against us. How dare they? Are you sure you didn't confirm that they weren't held against their will? It's like, come on, dude.
Come on, my guy.
Killing me here. Let's see. Oh god, there's just like a ton. There's
more Hag storyline because maybe.
Oh, there's a circus.
Yeah, the circus is super fun.
And there's also the monastery in the circus where a monk got murdered.
Yes, there's also that. The monastery right next to the circus, clearly the place where it would be.
I mean, yeah, that's another thing of itself. It's like, oh,
did you start the thing of like find the clown? I forgot the name of the clown.
I don't think I found the actual clown yet, no.
Oh, well, so the thing is you gotta find, you find the body parts of the clown is what it is.
Oh, I haven't found, no.
And it is horrible because, I've never done it because his body parts are so, because I was talking to a friend about it, and he was like, they're just in, like, random basements, so unless you're feeling like breaking into people's houses and looking in their basement, it's, like, it's not a side quest worth doing.
Jeez, yeah. And then there's like the dude with the fireworks hidden in his basement that he's planning on using.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh. There's really so much shit in Act 3. It's insane.
Act 3 is wild.
It's my favorite act. For a lot of people say that it's their least favorite by far, and I'm like, I don't understand that.
I don't get it either.
I don't get it.
I mean, great, I need to finish it, but still, I don't get it.
I do not understand how that is in any way the worst.
I'm confused by that statement. I just don't get it. Like, I feel like if anything, 2 maybe would make most sense, because it's
it's because I can also get it's more linear. There's less going on, and it's also a horror game out of nowhere. So if that's not your vibe, like, I get it.
Yeah, surprise subtle horror game, and then like also there's the trials, and there's like a lot of segments that take a while.
Yeah,
like,
it is. It's a slog sometimes. Yeah.
But damn, there are some story beats that happen in there though that just hit.
Right.
They just hit so well.
I do think the final boss fights of Act 2 are better than Act 3. Act 2 boss fights definitely feel a lot more epic and fitting of like a final boss fight than Act 3 does. And I don't know if that's because development was more rushed at the end.
Yeah, it probably was.
But also, I feel like there is a way that Act 3 could have been a little bit more epic, but I feel like because you're on a timer for a lot of
they put you on a timer.
You're on a timer for some of it, and you're so like high level that you do it pretty fast. So I think that is probably why it doesn't feel like as long of like a hard of a boss fight, because if you know what you're doing, it's a very fast fight. So I think that's more the problem I have with it, because I can imagine it feels epic if it was in the way of Act 2 where you do like 4 boss fights in a row, and by the time Merkel shows up, you're like, well, my party is exhausted and I don't know what to do anymore.
Sure, that's a good point.
Whereas in that last one, it does feel like if you go in with a plan, it's very easy. So
yeah, no, that checks out.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I hear like the final cutscenes are cute too, especially if you have romance options too. They had a final goodbye cutscene dialogue heavy section. I know that after everything happens, but which is cute. You wrap things up at the party.
I did go back and replay the epilogue section because when I finished the game, that wasn't in the game yet.
Oh, that's right.
So I replayed the final boss fight so I could get that extra little epilogue thing you get at the end. And I honestly feel like it did fix a lot of the problems I had with the game with some of the characters not getting enough closure. Because, in my opinion, what it was, because Act 3 is weirdly formatted in the way where some of the character storylines are fully resolved before you get to the final boss. Like, Asterion is fully resolved, Will is fully resolved, Shadowheart is fully resolved. And, like, Halsin is fully resolved in Act 2.
Yeah.
And then you get to the final battle, and it's like Gale is still, you're kind of figuring out his storyline, and Lizelle, you're still kind of dealing with the two of them. And Will in a way, but not really. Will is mostly done by that point. But it was like, for me, because some of the main character plots resolve fully before you get to the final boss fight, and some of them resolve at the final boss fight, it kind of makes it feel a little bit uneven in terms of what characters are getting more important at the final end of the game. So if you're more interested in the characters whose stories are resolved before then, like Asterion and Shadowheart and everyone, it does feel like they get shafted a little bit at the end because they don't get to do anything because you're busy like finishing up Gale and Lizelle and people. But with the epilogue sequence, they essentially like just all come back to camp at like a year or so later, and you catch up with them and what's going on in life. And I really appreciate that because I feel like that does kind of mitigate some of the issue I had with the game in terms of that. So I really enjoyed that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've seen some of the cutscenes too for that, and it's just like so wholesome. I'm just like, oh, look at you guys, just being... And there can be some sad cutscenes too with Gale where he's just like saying goodbye because he decides to like disappear into the
I don't know what I did.
I'm like, oh my god.
In mine, but when I reloaded the epilogue, Gale was dead. And I was like, I guess he died at some point between me ending the game and now Gale died somewhere. And I don't know why,
Crazy.
but I'm here talking to his cat who's telling me of his death, and I'm like, okay, I guess.
Like, he decided to die.
And maybe that's because I didn't finish a storyline. I don't know what triggered that exactly, but all I know is when I reloaded that epilogue, Gale was dead.
I have not found his cat yet, I will tell you that.
I don't know if I did either. I think she's on a roof somewhere.
She's on a roof somewhere, I know that.
I've seen videos of her, but I don't think I actually talked to her during the game. And that's probably because I didn't go out of my way to do anything Gale related because I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing with him in Act 3, so...
Yeah, and then there's some other interesting Act 3 stuff. There's the Drows twins that you can bang. Yeah.
That is such a sad cutscene for Astarion if you bring Astarion in there. It is really, really sad. Because I went in there with Astarion and Halsin, my two boyfriends, and it was just like, I immensely regret doing this immediately.
Yeah, he's just like, yeah, not into autonomy.
Well, that's Bizora and the Mind Flayer Emperor and Halsin are the three people you can have sex with, I'm pretty sure, without any consequences on your relationships with anybody else.
Yeah, probably.
Everyone else, it's like you have to kind of pick one person and that's it. But in the Drow twin one, Astarion essentially disassociates the entire time because it's tied to a lot of his trauma that he has, and I was like, oh god, I really wish I didn't do this now.
Poor dude. And then you could bring Gale in, but Gale runs off, so the only one who's enjoying it probably...
Halsin's a fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
Halsin's really into it, but Halsin's like a little weirdo.
Yeah, and then there's Shadowheart, who's just like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. I'm living my fantasy. It's one time I get to live my fantasy.
The more I learned about Halsin, the more I'm like, what a weird fucking guy.
They're like treating her like a queen. It's like, oh, worship you like, sure. I'm just like, okay. Great, we got another cult starting, just what we need.
Oh god.
JK. But also I have a glitch in my game where, like, they're stuck in their underwear for some reason.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I'm like, I can't, every time I do that, they're just stuck in their underwear afterwards. I'm like, I want their clothes back. So I usually just restart it.
There is a lot of weird glitches in that game, yeah.
Yeah, that's a weird glitch I've encountered. It's like, okay, no, we don't need them stuck in their underwear. No.
There's nothing in it that it's, like, too bad that is, like, really ruined the game. So there was one really bad one where we were in the Temple of Shar, and me and my other friend, who were not the ones hosting the server for the game, could not use the elevators at all.
No.
And so we tried to get on one, and it straight up went through our bodies, and we got stuck at the bottom of a pit, and we're just like, what the fuck do we do about this?
No. Oh my god, that's so annoying.
Yeah.
I had another glitch where, like, the elevator almost pushed me off the edge. It was weird.
The elevators in that Temple of Shar area are actually the worst to try to deal with.
I mean, it is an old temple, so...
Yeah.
Apparently. Even though it got futuristic tech elevators, but it's an old temple.
But do you have anything else?
Oh god. Unless you want me to go on a tangent about something else.
I mean, you can go ahead and do it. I mean, it's your birthday episode, so you can go and do it.
So this is mainly for Kayla, but watch Apothecary Diaries, Kayla, and everyone else. I changed my profile picture recently to Mau Mau. It's great. I'm slowly getting back into anime. It's a blast in a glass. She's a great character. Oh my god, I fucking love that show too, because it is just like intrigues in a court palace. It's based off of not Tang Dynasty China, because it's not Tang Dynasty China. It's the country of Li, but it's very clearly based off of Tang Dynasty China. So, but remember, it's a fictional universe, so it's not Tang Dynasty China.
Yes.
But like, it's like not that much has changed besides names of countries, but like everything else is, you know, let's be real here. And certain things too, like silver detecting poisons, where it's like that's not actually a thing in the real world, and then like chocolate being an effective aphrodisiac. Yeah, not that potent, but still at least some interesting comedy. Especially with some of the not concubines, the maids or the servants of the courtesan concubine people. One of them, they just eat the chocolate and they all just get blushy and act like they're drunk or high or something. And it's like, what the fuck?
Damn.
And then it leads to like Mao checking their skirts and be like, they did not have sex with each other. It's like, oh my god. She doesn't say it like that, but it's like implied that's what she's referring to. So it's like, oh my god. Yeah, she doesn't look like it, but she's supposed to be, I think, 17 or 16. So she's like, yeah, she's had a pretty sad life. She like grew up basically with like an adopted father who was an apothecary, She also works and has lived partially in one of the popular brothels in the town that's right outside the palace. Or the area right outside the palace. And then she ends up getting kidnapped. And then, because unlucky her, and then she's sold to work inside the palace of the country of Li. So, which again, same area where the brothel is. So she could easily, in theory, well, she can't really at the moment, but like, home is not too far away, technically speaking. But still, she's stuck on a contract and has to give part of her salary to these kidnappers. So like, that sucks. But then she, because of her skills as an apothecary, ends up deducing of a illness that the emperor's kids and one of the concubines has, and saves basically one of the kids' lives. The other one, who's the crown prince, dies, but the other daughter of another concubine survives. And then that's what gets her into the inner palace and gets her into connection with like certain consorts and concubines, and then particularly a quote-unquote eunuch. I say quote-unquote eunuch because it's very clear later on you're just like, he is not who he says he is. Jinshi. Not anything revealed yet about his lineage, but it's highly, highly hinted at that he's probably related to the emperor in some sort of way. Either like a brother, a nephew, a cousin, or like possibly even his own son, who knows. But he's connected to the emperor in some way, family-wise, because of his power and stuff like that.
Interesting.
It's very heavily hinted. But like, it goes with her solving essentially mysteries and happenings in the palace and saving some people and doing some other things.
Right.
And her and you find out more about her life, and it's a really good show. There's like 24 episodes. It's really freaking good. And it's based off of technically a web novel, but the light novel is the version that like tells most of the story, and that's like at 15 volumes right now in Japan.
Okay.
And I think the 11th volume is going to be released in the States soon digitally, and they're starting next month in May to do like the physical printed versions of the light novels in English. So
nice.
It's really good. I really love it. I'm having so much fun. Yeah. So like that's what I've been consuming. It's great. I highly recommend people watch the show. I also like Mao Mao's like one of the best female characters in anime, period.
Mm-hmm.
And also like the show in general too has some of the best side female characters ever.
That's
like
really
I've seen
good.
the show. They are very well rounded. They are flawed. Some of them are just, for comedy and not as well built out, but some of them are definitely flawed, and they learn, and it is crazy how she uses some of her. Mao has some great moments. Like it is so intricate to see. Also, like a lot of it's about how like not only are the people at the brothel houses, trapped in certain ways, but so are the people in the inner palace that are like the concubines or the consorts to the king, the emperor.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like goes into that a lot. And there's a few dudes that do get some coverage too, mainly Jinshi, but a couple other guys as well. Also they're solid side characters as well, but like it definitely feels more woman focused.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's like I was telling Maria, that's like one of my main problems with a lot of like Japanese media is like portrayal of women and characters.
Specifically shonen,
like,
though, I feel like.
Yeah, is like really
shonen especially. Yeah. Shonen especially. Some shoujo,
and
but
also
like
in like K-dramas, not K-dramas, J-dramas have like some really awful portrayals of women.
No, yeah, but this is like it's weird because technically speaking, I think the manga version of this show is considered to be a seinen, which is technically targeted towards adult males. But I'm thinking it's only set. Well, I'm thinking it's only. I would personally say it's more josei than anything, but I think it's set to be like that because there's. So there definitely is buddings of a romance, but like it's not fully there yet. And from what I hear, it develops more in the light novels. So it happens a little bit later on. But I wonder. I don't know why they classify it technically as a seinen, but I'd say it's like a josei seinen combination. Personally.
Okay.
Because it doesn't get too much into like sex as of this time now, but I also probably need to read more of the light novels to see if it does. But like we're talking about brothels here, we're talking about the stuff that goes in between that, appropriately of course, but like that's not like a type of anime if you're covering brothels and stuff like that to show off to like a younger audience, And plus she's like 17. Like one of the king's consorts, he doesn't have a emperor wife yet that I know of, albeit allegedly I've been hinted at that there will be one eventually, but not yet. Yeah, one of them's 14, but the craziest thing is this. I'll slightly spoil it because it's not a huge plot point, but so like the 14-year-old consort, he does not touched, but that used to be technically his mother-in-law.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And Mao is shocked when she hears this too. She's like, wait, what the fuck? Because at the time too, so there's 4 main consorts, but eventually one of them that's like this roughly the same age as the emperor, who's like 30 something years old. The other one that's like a year older than him, she gets taken out of the consort lineup and brought back to another palace, which I hear is a whole other storyline that happens in the down the line, so like there's a reason for that. But then another one's brought in that's like 17, that's supposed to be Mao's age, and then this 35-year-old one's leaving. But then you notice certain things like, oh, the main male league looks very similar to her. Okay. Mao thinks about it, but she's just like, I shouldn't speculate, actually. It doesn't help that I speculate, but I'm just like, I feel like you're onto something, Mao. Just saying. Maybe you should listen to that a little bit more. Maybe you're onto something. Coincidence? She ends up like, but it turns out I guess she's more of a motherly figure to the 14-year-old like consort. But apparently, I guess his father was a huge pervert, I guess, because apparently the emperor, his mother, the emperor's dowager, is like only like 11 years older than him. Disgusting. His dad was a pervert and a pedophile. Ew.
Oh boy.
But that's also part of the reason why. I guess it's like, yeah, I think the concert Mao ends up working for with the daughter that lives, she's like 19, I think, by the start of the series. Another one whose son died is like 23. The new one that they brought in 17. The youngest one's 14, but to what I know, the Emperor hasn't touched her. Which I guess good thing. You're not as questionable as your father. Good for you.
Yeah.
But like, I guess from what I understand in that world, it sounds like 17 years old for a woman, which makes sense if it's Tang Dynasty is considered to be like the adult age. And then like for a man, once they're hitting 19, it's kind of like, okay, time for you to start looking for a wife.
Mm-hmm.
So that seems to be where the age range is set up. So it's like, okay, that's how this, again, reflecting of the past, makes sense. Checks out, to be fair.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot of intrigue going on there. I think it'd be a really interesting show, especially if you have... I haven't seen any of the, like, Chinese palace historical dramas, but,
right.
This is giving that, even though it's, not Tang Dynasty China. Country of Li.
Sure.
But, yes,
sure.
Not Tang Dynasty China.
Right, exactly.
I'm just gonna keep calling it that, but it's technically it's Li. Technically it's Li. The country's name is Li. But like, you look at the palace, the way the palace looks, it's just like, oh yes, this is totally not the Forbidden City.
Right.
Totally not the Forbidden City. Totally not. But and everyone has colored hair, of course, because it's not an anime if no one has different colors of hair that's not black. I mean, but no, it's just a great show. I mean, I could go on and on about the show, but I'd be spoiling too much. So, like, you have to watch it, honestly.
Okay.
Sammy should too. I think Sammy would like it too.
I think Sammy would definitely like it, yeah.
I just want you guys both to watch it so that I can talk about it. And then I could try to convince you to buy the novels on Kindle.
Yeah.
And then we could just watch that and then be like, oh my god. But yeah.
Okay.
That's the most of what I have to talk about, I think. Unless we want to talk about something else.
No, I think that'll do it.
That'll do it.
Yes,
oh my god,
this has been a chaotic Maria's birthday episode.
Slightly chaotic birthday episode. You should have heard the conversation earlier.
We were really don't know what we were doing earlier, honestly.
We're shooting the shit. Shooting the
Just
shit.
Shooting the shit, yeah.
This is great.
Yes.
Shout out to the actors, not just in the Apothecary Diaries, but also in Baldur's Gate 3.
Yes,
you guys rule.
Mm-hmm.
And also the other people worked on the coding and making the game.
Oh, definitely. There are a huge amount of people who put time
Someday
into
I will
game.
Finish this game. Yes. Just not today, because my hand is slightly injured, so...
Very sad, but I would recommend doing it at some point.
Yeah.
But it is a long game. I mean, I have been playing the one campaign for, like,
your money is well worth it. This is well worth a full price game cost, I will tell you that right now.
I think I've put over 300 hours into it, so...
This is well worth the cost of a full price game. I will tell you that much. So 100%. Don't feel bad if you have to pay full price, but if you can get it at a discount, it is even more worth your money. I will tell you that much.
100%.
Oh my god.
But that has been this episode. We are available on all major podcasting platforms like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We also have a YouTube channel where we post all of our episodes along with occasional clip videos as well. And another reminder that we are now a bi-weekly podcast, so one episode every other week. So,
yay.
With that, we will see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.